first map here, and they do actually favor HELLRAISERS rather significantly, despite the bit of a downturn they have on the opening map of Vertigo. That's a really interesting call, but when you do look at some of their losses, they have been very close in recent times, so perhaps it is not all a closed case for HELLRAISERS here. Perhaps they've been putting in more work, and Lootbet knows something we don't.
Yeah, Lootbet has all the intel in the world, and let's see if that's gonna pay off. It starts off with Gruss getting a double in the opener. APEKS, they know exactly where HELLRAISERS are coming from, and they're gonna get chopped in half. Falling back, APEKS on that B side all alone. Flarich needs to kill him off, then he can get the bomb plant. Actually drops the bomb behind him and wouldn't even be able to get the bomb plant in time before the rotations come through. First round for APEKS to start off this series.
And a rather clean opening round as well. Gruss with that double entry towards the A ramp, just denying HELLRAISERS any room whatsoever on the A side of the map, but it isn't going to deter them early on. They are going to be bringing that force buy into this second round. MAC-10s and pistols, all that they'll have in terms of firepower though, and they just need to try and avoid the CT utility. Despite Gruss being tagged down early, he is still alive, and this gets messy in mid, but HR have at least replied with one kill, but Truth making sure they get nothing else so far. Him and Dennis shutting mid down and leaving Problem just 8 HP between him and a lost round.
That's a quick shutdown coming out from APEKS on the CT side, and I mean, I did already say it, but it is a very heavily T-sided map, so getting as many rounds on that CT side is as crucial as possible. This should be, the next round should be a pretty even, pretty easy round for APEKS. They shouldn't upgrade too much, because you do need your flashes and smokes. HELLRAISERS, I think they all bought a deagle, every single one of them.
Not necessarily a poor investment to have, although it might leave them slightly stretched for cash in the upcoming round, but at least they're dealing damage, I suppose. This FAMAS from Arquez, though, has really shut them all down in mid. 3 early kills found, and with Jalem cleaned up at the bottom of the ramp, it's left Kalinka this time as the man with it all to do. It's going to be another relatively easy round from APEKS. They could have taken more significant losses than they did. Arquez and Marcelius, if they both fell, it would have been definitely the expensive round. And as Kalinka on 23 pushes over, he is going to look for more damage, but he will be denied it. Now HELLRAISERS going to look for their full buy, but they're up against 4 rifles at bare minimum with a reinvestment coming through from Gruss.
They've got a lot of money on APEKS already in the third round. That's pretty quick on that banking. Nice interest as well. Marcelius with the op pickup. They are gonna have a very decent amount of rifles. Normally you see like the first real gun round, you know, SMG still being dragged over just so that you can save a little bit on the money, but they don't want to be have the possibility of dropping the op. A great flash coming out, and he knows that Cleric is still stuck behind, but does pop off the head. That was an amazing flash. He was completely blind on Problem.
That was great. A little beautiful set piece there from APEKS. Gruss just gets a bit over aggressive. Even though he knows Flowers is in that angle, he probably should have backed off there, knowing that as soon as he pops up, he's going to have a pre-fire onto him. And now, actually, over on the A side of the map, it is HELLRAISERS who found the next kill. Truth is dancing around the smoke, though, and that second headshot has been immense. He's even found another kill from behind the sandbags as he pushes forward to punish JR. It's Flarich left alone now, having found the kill onto Gruss. It's unlikely he'll get anything done for the remainder of the round, and Truth stepping up in a big way over on the A side.
That's why you need that extra money for all the utility in the world, because you need to molly out sandbags. You need to nade it even, possibly, if you have any inkling someone might be around that area. And yeah, it's a very, there's so many nasty angles on this map as well. And because it's a reasonably new map, you don't have that feel like you do, for instance, with Mirage, where you always have the same routine when you clear out a site. You know, they're either there, you know, the perfect angles, but sometimes there's still those surprise angles that you keep forgetting. You keep flinching over, and that's what I love about new or updated maps, is those extra angles that no one keeps paying attention to, that can just make it incredibly tough for the T's to follow through.
Well, it certainly made it tough for HELLRAISERS in this round at the very least, as it's 4 quickly in a row for APEKS at the start of Vertigo. It's great news as well for their CT economy, as Arquez had $11,000 at the start of this round before dropping a weapon over to his teammates. He's found 7 kills already at the start of this round, and with a double AWP setup looking to come forward in round 5, that's certainly a little bit of a gamble. Their banks can definitely support this kind of a buy going forward, but it's risky to allow the snipers to fall into HELLRAISERS' hands.
This is an incredibly greedy buy, because it does put your money at a pretty disadvantageous position. They lost a lot of money. They could have, yeah. And also, this map, there are some nice sniper angles. Marselius is going to be playing the B alone, it seems. Actually, mid and B at the same time, so he has to be very careful. And that means Dennis is going to be playing towards that A site with the op. But they want to get aggressive here on APEKS to clear out, or at least get intel on the A round.
Certainly do. They've not really been deterred from aggressing towards this portion of the map just yet, but they're also not overcommitted. They are sending a couple of players out mid, at least for now, and Marselius is no longer actively holding that angle. With the Molotov dropped in his window, he is going to be aware that there are players around the mid position, but HELLRAISERS, a lot of time has ticked down from this clock, and they've made very few motions. They've got the top of A ramp control, but the bomb currently isn't interested in advancing there. Instead, it looks like they do want to give things a go out mid and convert this into a bomb side attack, but Dennis has already taken down one of these attacking T side players and left Marselius to hold true on B. He's dropped the bomb first, and with 20 seconds left, HELLRAISERS may have left it too long.
They still managed to switch it out and should be able to get a bomb plant. As I say that, they're taking fights on that B side. Flairage does win another one, and now it's all on Problem solo on the site. But they're giving him 2 1v1s. Luckily enough, Gruss does peek in time before Problem can reset his aim, and they will be able to defuse the bomb. That's going to be 5 rounds in a row for APEKS. The problem was for HELLRAISERS, when they went up towards that B site, they had no utility left. Now, a single flash would have been enough to get Marselius off the angle and force him all the way back. A smoke, and you could have gotten a free plant. And that's why you always need to have extra utility in the bag if you're going to go for an execute. Try peeking sometimes works, but not against Marselius.
Definitely not in that last round at very minimum, and despite it being expensive for APEKS, losing 4 players but saving only one of their 2 AWPs forward, they're still going to invest into the double sniper setup. And this means that even though they're currently winning rounds, they are still burning through their cash reserves at a tremendous rate to put these snipers on the board. It's just AKES and Truth now who have the reserves remaining to drop forward should they need it. There's still 5 rifles available from the HELLRAISERS side, and this time they look to go quickly towards the A ramp.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick execute, but the smokes and flashes in return should try and block them off. However, look at Gruss's aggressive peek. Gets one, sprays down a second, peek out wide, but James does manage to get 2 in return. Luckily, Truth chimes in through the smoke, gets the headshot, peek forward, Problem clears him out, and that's going to be on the side. Marselius, he has to hold down the line, and Marselius with a great flick to win round number 6, keeping one of the ops at least alive.
He certainly does. 2 surviving this time for APEKS, and really that double entry just does so much work. If Gruz doesn't find those kills, it's a much easier route into the A bomb site, and Marselius faces overwhelming odds then. Instead, he only has 2 players to worry about, and he lands those 2 pixel perfect shots. HELLRAISERS now drop down onto Galils and Deagles to try and make things work in round 7, as APEKS have looked to give them no room to maneuver whatsoever on the T side of Vertigo. If they keep this performance up, we'll be on train rather quickly than we expected.
Problem does chop them both up. I mean, Marcelius was very low in HP, so he could just spray and hopefully walk into him. And that puts it at a very problematic situation for APEKS, because he's going to have to defend against 3. Luckily, Truth does chime in mid. Does get one, but gets taken out afterwards. JR with the Deagle close range against APEKS. Oh, this is dangerous. A headshot's all they need. JR is going to fall back. And with that, they know what the last player is. A site is completely clear, and he is going for the full sprint.
Don't think JR was close enough to get those sound cues at the moment, and because Kalinka is aggressing into mid, I think that's definitely the case. I don't think there's any awareness of Arcus' current positioning, but due to the setup that HELLRAISERS can get on the board, they should still be able to hold on to this one. To be honest with you, if I was on the HR side, I'd have dropped my M4 over to the full HP player, because now he has to take an engagement with just a Deagle against that full rifle. Unfortunately for the APEKS captain, he's not been able to win the isolated one-on-one engagement, but now he has claimed it in his favor and still has twice as much HP as his opponent. Kalinka has to time his peak perfectly, and he does so indeed. As APEKS tries to tap the bomb, Kalinka swings out and wins HELLRAISERS their first round of this map. And
We're gonna get a repeat. Oh, yeah.
The opportunity to talk about our partners over at Hellcase. You won't get bored with them. If you use promo codes MaltaV and MaltaV15, you can save more and grab what you deserve. Now, it looks like APEKS dropping down onto the pistols for the first time.
I was just about to say before you called out our amazing sponsors that this is the exact same scoreline we had on our previous map when we casted APEKS, but they were the losing side at that moment. It would mean that at the moment APEKS should win this round. Ooh. And it seems they're gonna start popping off themselves with the pistols. No armor behind any of the players, not a single bullet of damage taken. JR. Oh.
Just about does spot the head there in the corner, but can't flick for the shot speedily enough. Now, these Deagles without body armor, as you mentioned, that's the real risk factor. They have to hit these quick headshots, but already finding 2 openers is great news for APEKS. If they keep rotating Deags in, all they have to do is spam the pistols down, and they should be in an advantageous position to go for a retake. Even if they find just one more kill like that from Truth, this is a dangerous round from the Nordic side. What is happening? 3 massive headshots from the only armored player on APEKS' side, and now Flaric has to 1v5. They've tagged him down minorly, but they've eventually put him down as well. That is an amazing round from APEKS.
And that, my friend, is why you never go towards the B side.
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. I mean, all of the kills were headshots as well. Just completely annihilated. No armor behind it, no utility whatsoever. Just dry peaks all over the place. It's kind of surprising that HELLRAISERS didn't use any of their own utility actually in that round to try and clear out the site or, you know, flash them off the angle. But they just wanted to go for the dry peaks. Truth playing sandbags. Flaric going towards mid, where they're going to be facing up against Marcelius. Surprisingly enough, Dennis is wielding the op instead of Marcelius.
That is a really interesting call. Despite Marcelius actually having enough money to be on the weapon, they clearly think that it's more effective to put the sniper towards A, and Marcelius potentially feeling more comfortable in these B angles. Jalem does well to reply, but Gruss keeping a man advantage in APEKS' favor, that really is the crucial factor. It keeps HELLRAISERS at a disadvantage and keeps them desperate to make plays in the round. They're now hunting actively for mid control, and they could face some hefty CT aggression if they try and take it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mid battle coming through. Peek outward, Flaric and Problem trade kills. Yeah, this is looking pretty dangerous for HELLRAISERS. They are completely out of money. Again, Kalinka, APEKS plays aggressively, and Problem is the last man standing. What can he even do right now? 35 seconds. He needs to clear out an entire bomb site and get the bomb down before the rotations come in. Is this going to be a round where he's just going to have to force that save? Or is he going to go in? I mean, there's a one playing on the stairs closer to his side. You know, barely anyone ever peeks that corner.
It does definitely seem to be the case that it is a bit of an overlooked spot on this map, and one that has allowed APEKS now to have their 8th round. Double AWPs back out on the CT side, and we knew that this map was going to favor APEKS slightly. I'm not quite sure I was expecting this dominant of a performance, especially when you look at things and consider that the T side is far and away the easier half here for HELLRAISERS. They have pretty much a 10% difference in round victories compared to their T side and their CT side, and these opening kills from APEKS just make it more and more difficult for HELLRAISERS to get anything done. They have just the pistols to work with, and they're being locked out of the A site.
Yeah, this was excellently done by APEKS. They just molly smoked everything off and made sure that there was no rush possible, and that just shuts down HELLRAISERS completely. But now is going to be the full buy round, everything that both teams would want to have. And HELLRAISERS, what kind of strat do they have left? I mean, they haven't really gone for a B execute just yet, and they've gone a couple of times for it, but no actual, smokes, mollies, flashes, nades to clear out the site. We might get an aggressive peek from Marcelius.
Definitely was thinking about it, but might have been deterred there as the utility from HELLRAISERS came through. And this time HR are actually utilizing a strategy I do agree with, but it's one APEKS haven't have fallen for. And a lot of the times when you see sides get this much of a lead, they get overconfident, they get over aggressive and try and win the opening kills. So HELLRAISERS are just waiting for these peaks right now, and APEKS hadn't been traditionally tempted to give it to them. This is about as aggressive as they've gotten towards mid, and I really like this lack of overextension.
Russ gets himself killed, drops down to 19 HP, will fall back, and with Marcelius holding the op angle for the boost, will just be trying to catch them off. Oh, nice catch from Kalinka taking down AKAZ, but that mid area is under control by Marcelius. B, however, only literally has Marcelius to try and defend it. Truth is trying to help out his buddy, but Marcelius is all stuck on site. Luckily, the rotations are coming in from Truth, but where are the T players heading off to? Is it going to be a B or an A take?
B
honestly, the map
like
always...
the answer.
Yeah, that's going to be B. It's always confusing with the different floors on this map. There's going to be a nice, clean headshot onto Marcelius. And it's going to be a retake situation for APEKS. They have a little bit of money in the bag. And with that nade denying the bomb plant, someone has to make the hero play here on APEKS to deny the bomb plant coming through. Oh. Luckily, Gruss does defend it. Kalinka does defend it, and Flares chimes in the end. Finally, a second round for HELLRAISERS.
It takes a quad kill from Kalinka, but round 2 eventually does go on the board for the T side. APEKS have got a 9-6 guaranteed, regardless how the remainder of this occurs, and they aren't even going to go for the buy here in round 12. They'd rather preserve their economy, and let's be honest, considering how successful their last Deagle round was, why the hell not? They might as well go for it, because those headshots last time, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, the APEKS, they do have a decent amount of money, so they actually have a very healthy buy next round. And if they all just play with the Deagles, we've seen them before just completely crush those heads. I'd just be super scared, especially if you're not going to throw out utility on the side of HELLRAISERS, because HELLRAISERS haven't really had any heavy aggressive rounds. They had one towards the A ramp, I think. For the rest, they've pretty much been slow walking the entire game. Oh, Dennis, this is close range. This is dangerous.
Really is. HELLRAISERS continue to walk. Dennis has taken down the first shot. That's the bomb dropped as well. That's eaten so much time for rotations. Flaric is tagged down to half HP. How have they still not rooted him out here? How is he still allowed control of the bomb? He's found a second headshot as well. That is incredible work, but the rest of these Deagles have yet to open up until the captain for APEKS finds those shots. Gruss, that is a critical whiff at the wrong time. Instead, they aggress into JR, but find the kill. Now Marcelius has got his favorite weapon, and Kalinka has a 1 versus 2 with 25 seconds to work with.
Yeah, they can just keep him off the bomb plant, especially with the positioning of Marcelius. Mark Kalinka, he has to brute force himself on that site. And APEKS is even playing the close range angle so that he can't get the bomb plant in. APEKS, somehow the pistols again come in clutch. I mean, I can't believe that Dennis survived that, especially as Fold. Fold is like a paper thin wall. You can just spray through it. No one even attempted to spray him through the side. He gets a double in that angle.
And he has the bomb dropped for about 15 seconds as well on a map where, as you mentioned, the rotations from the B and the A site take so long. And in a round where APEKS stacked 3 players in that B bomb site, it couldn't have come at a better time, that pistol play. It buys all the time for rotations, and now HELLRAISERS are trying to change up the pace. But JR, who's been struggling throughout this map, is unable to secure anything on the ramp. Again, it's APEKS who find the opening kill, and J them up close. He might get one onto Truth, but Dennis takes him down, and Marcelius has found Kalinka as well. This round might already be over for the HELLRAISERS.
There's still a flank from Flareage. He's a lot further than they might have expected. No one has a single clue that he's there. That doesn't even make a sound, so he might get that great flank onto Flareage. Will Marcelius expect something? Oh, this is... that... Eventually, he does have to forfeit it away, but yeah, the bomb has been dropped towards the A ramp, so there's no real chance to really win this round. Should be able to secure an op if he's going to go for it, but...
It's not a round he'll be able to secure either way, and really, this map, HELLRAISERS have just not been able to get anything going. It does have to be said. Kalinka's on 10 kills, and in the round that he got a quad kill was one of the 2 that HELLRAISERS have won. It really felt as though it's been on the case of the individuals to try and make things work for this HELLRAISERS side, but unfortunately they've just really been struggling on the T side here. They've not been able to find any momentum at the moment on Vertigo, and as APEKS hunt down what looks to be a 12-3 opening half, they could even convert the 13-2 if they really wanted to. HELLRAISERS, they're just going to have to focus on the next 2 maps for my money.
Yeah, this, I mean, we kind of already expected that APEKS would take the first one with the win rate, but I did not expect HELLRAISERS to struggle this much on the favored side to boot. But it isn't over, it's still CSGO, and we still have an entire defensive side to go. You never know. Maybe they just aren't that good on the offense.
That could certainly be the case. That could very certainly be the case here on Vertigo. But, oh my god, APEKS, he's just not shutting it down at all. Keeping that fragging machine going as AK keeps ringing out bullets, and it feels like HELLRAISERS can't go 15 seconds into a round without losing players at this point. The aggressive play from APEKS is working out near enough every time, and it's another round on Vertigo in which they have a 2-round advantage.
Oh, they double peek it. Okay, Flash with the op. He's gonna win that Deagle duel. And now it's Dennis and Gruss to try and stop him. However, Dennis is on a very big flank. Flares, does he expect the flank? I would assume he wouldn't expect it that much. But Gruss on the site, it's gonna be a close little duel. Yeah, he actually doesn't have the bomb. Oh, luckily Dennis didn't spot out the fact that he doesn't have the bomb. That could have been very nasty.
That could have been a real horrible situation there for Flarich. At least he does have it on his back, so he can just worry about the standard task of planting and rooting out these CT players. Dennis has whiffed some shots, but it doesn't really matter at this point because it eats up so much time that if Gruss could have found that kill, it really wouldn't have been significant. But on the 5-7, Dennis has completely whiffed it. That was individual mistakes from the Swedish veteran that cost APEKS that clutch. You do have to say, he had an AWP on his back both times. He could have just scoped in and fired 1 bullet. Instead, he spams with his 5-7 and whiffs on 2 separate occasions. HELLRAISERS at least going to have 3 in this half, but APEKS are going to be looking to stop them immediately in this one.
That is a whiff and a half. That should have 100% been Apex's round. He had no idea that the flank was coming in. Back turn towards Dennis, and he just completely whiffs it. Aggressive round coming out from HELLRAISERS, but how aggressive are they going to continue this? No problem. They only get close to ramp, and that's where they'll hold the line. APEKS do not want to get aggressive themselves. And we might see finally a solid A execute coming out from HELLRAISERS. Been a while since we've seen an A execute, honestly.
Well, I think the reason it's been such a while is because HELLRAISERS have been able to get nowhere near the bomb site. APEKS have just been killing them at the bottom of B stairs and A ramp before they can get anywhere near a site. HELLRAISERS have had no opportunity to execute for the vast majority of this half, but now up against the CT side with no utility, I thought they would have a chance, but Marcelius has even found the second kill with his Deagle. Truth is struggling to recover rivals, but Dennis has opened up at least for 1 kill. It's on to the captain now, though, who has had his moments on Vertigo. He'd need to win out this 1 versus 2 clutch to secure the 12v3 scoreline, and while Flaric is planting, it's probably his best time to secure a one-on-one engagement.
Oh, the second plant, but luckily enough, Kalinka is there to cover his planter, and that is going to be the, well, pretty dominant round half for APEKS, but we're not done just yet. HELLRAISERS are going to swap over to the CT side. If they win the pistol, you never know. They might actually start destroying. I'm actually going to check out what HELLRAISERS win percentage is on the CT side real quickly.
It is 43% if my memory serves me correctly, and our partners over at LootBet certainly think that HELLRAISERS have less of a chance than that in order to claim victory in this map. They now have 8.4 odds against them, as APEKS only need 5 rounds on the easier T side to secure themselves a victory in the first map and proceed through with a map advantage in this series. It's quickly into the B bomb site, and Problem cannot defend whatsoever. The P250 rips off his head, and Flaric now, the last line of defense, actually gets it done. Jalem arrives to help out, and that's left Truth and Arquez alone, but Truth has done so much work. He's left it in a one-on-one situation, and Kalinka with a USP, he can't get it done. It's the captain for APEKS that eventually finishes it off, and while it could have been HELLRAISERS pistol, it is now potentially yet more dominance to come from the Nords.
Yeah, that was a very quick rotation from HELLRAISERS, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Eventually APEKS can get the last player down, and a very nice aggressive rush towards B to shut down HELLRAISERS, make it even tougher for them. It is a close range map, so you know, Deagles, SMGs, those are really dangerous factors. Oh,
this is an interesting buy.
That's a sneaky little smoke angle as well.
Nearly
the smoke low so that you can peek over.
Well,
Marcelius, yeah, he's actually, yeah, we have the perfect chemistry right there. Yeah, I just want to say I really do love the PP Bison. Oof.
That's a lovely headshot from Dennis to find in the B bomb site, and it should be the entrances from APEKS off the back of that one as well. There's nobody in this B bomb site to try and defend against the bomb plant at all. Marcelius' PP Python has actually found more kills than HELLRAISERS. I think this could just be the map over.
Yeah, this not really a lot that they can do against it. It's I mean, they've got weapon superiority right now, and in general, the showing of HELLRAISERS has been rather lackluster on this map. I mean, JR 3, 2, and 17, it's not his map.
It really hasn't been, and I think to some degree you can't really blame him too much. He's the in-game leader for this HELLRAISERS side, which means on the T side he's almost always in an entry position trying to farm information, and also on the APEKS CT side they were doing a lot of aggression. They were getting right up in the face of HELLRAISERS, and when you're an IGL, you're spending so much of your time looking at the minimap, trying to coordinate with your teammates, that you're not 100% focused on the game. And when APEKS go aggressive like they have been, they're really able to shut you down effectively. So I think that perhaps is why JR is dropping down so low on the scoreboard. But regardless of justification, throughout the whole Hellraiser side, they've really struggled to win out these gunfights. It does feel that the firepower has firmly been with Apex the entire time, because even when they had no money, Apex, they won both ecos they had to drop down to with Deagles.
Yeah, this, I mean, Apex has just been playing phenomenally. It's, you can't really make anything different of it. Oh, big spray down coming through. But the PP buys in close range. That gun is literally just left mouse button and every bullet lands because it's the easiest spray control you'll ever see.
Just about survives it as well, Marcelius, with a slither of HP remaining. And when you ask the question, are Apex going for the bonus in this round, the answer is definitely going to be yes. With a 10-round lead, they're happy to work with the rifles they have to try and close things out early. This round would surely be the map, as it would be a broken HR economy now and map point to the Apex side. Some would argue this deficit is already too great for HR to come back from, but at least they have a chance in this round. Jalem spots out Marcelius' aggression. At least that's the opener, but it's the B-bomb site that they have to defend actively.
Yeah, I mean, the PP buys in, he falls, big whoop. But problem defending the B-bomb site together with his buddy. Flairage tries to chime in as well, but it's going to be pretty tough for Apex right now. Dennis, last man standing, does catch out Kalinka, but he has to push into 3 with a big flank coming through. I don't think that James is going to be making the same mistake, and no, he is going to shut him down when he turns his back to him.
Jalem finishes it off for Hellraisers and keeps them alive, at least for the moment. But now that full buy really is coming through from the T side. Apex have an AWP in the hands of Marcelius instead of a PP Bison now, and they have 4 AKs across the board to get more work done in this T round and take us to a very early map point indeed. Hellraisers, they would need an incredible streak very early on at the start of their CT half if they wanted to stay alive, and they're committing towards the A ramp this time. JR's taken utility damage, but he's not been removed by any stretch of the imagination. Dennis finding the opening kill, though, certainly does not bode well unless Jalem can reply in the way he has.
Yeah, that was a nice take. Oh, man advantage coming up for Apex right now. Dennis chimes in with a second as well. Puts the Hellraisers defense very lightly. Marcelius, he's not going to miss too many op shots anymore, and they really want to shut this down in the next 2 rounds. JR, he's got the op in hand. I want to see this man try and make some plays. He's being flanked. He knows he's being flanked. Gets rid of Truth. That's going to make it a possibility for him to hold this push. Especially with the Molly tossed down. JR, I mean, come on, give me that duel. Give me that op v op man fight.
He really does need to get probably... If he is only going to get 1 kill, it has to be on the high HP player, but the flank has arrived at the perfect time. Apex have waited too long to pull the trigger here, and now they could be in serious trouble indeed, as JR has landed his first shot, and that flank from the ramp. Oh no, Dennis has spotted the flanker and put him down. JR missing his shot as well. Apex have done enough. Map point secured in their favor, and now the Hellraisers would need 10 consecutive CT rounds just to force overtime.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff happen in this tournament, but I don't think that that's going to be
In the cards this time. I would assume Apex is going to shut it down on this one. I don't really think Hellraisers even has the motivation to try and continue this map. At this point, you'd be just like, yeah, okay. It's been nice. We'll just crush him on train and take him on nuke.
Dennis as well, just being dominant so early on. Jalem's only on 3 HP. They're trying to get aggressive, Hellraisers, but it's not going to work out. They have 3 rifles left on the board, and there's 203 health between the 3 players as more damage is looking to be done. Marcelius seeing if he can spot any pixels from behind the sandbags, but there are no players there waiting. Instead, it is the low HP Jalem to support Flarich on this A site, but it would have to be a heroic effort if they wanted to win now. Flarich is found through the smoke, and now 2 versus 5 are Hellraisers just to stay alive on this first map.
That's just a very, very tough round for a game so far for Hellraisers. They haven't really had any good showing, and well, at least Jared gets himself another kill. Make that 2-3. Hello?
Surely not.
Speak too soon? Marcelius misses the shot. Flash comes out. He dodged it, but Marcelius does not miss a second. And Hellraisers will lose map number 1. But honestly, I can see, you know, the beginnings of a possible comeback for Hellraisers. The second 2 maps, they've got pretty even win rate on train. But the third one, Nuke, is completely their playground.
Well, a dominant 16-5 scoreline from Apex in this first map. Train up next then to decide whether or not Hellraisers are going to attempt a comeback in this series. They would need a reverse sweep if they wanted to advance into the playoffs through this winners match. Find out whether or not Apex can get it done in 2 after these quick ads.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Woo, damn! That was one of the best tickle fights I've been to.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Malta Vibes, brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. It was dominant from the Nordic side of APEKS over on Vertigo, a 16-5 scoreline against the Hellraisers in the first map of this winners series to decide who is advancing into the playoffs early on in this group. Now, Train lies as our second map and the pick of Hellraisers in this series to try and begin their comeback efforts and actuate the reverse sweep they are so desperately looking for. My name is Protalis, and talking you through the remainder of this series with me is DK Truman. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Well, you know, it was an amazing match, the first one, but it was beautiful to see what APEKS was doing, but Hellraisers were all over the place. They had two strats, most of them really slow, and that meant slow peeking into, for instance, Marcellius's op, or Dennis's op for half the match as well. It just didn't pay off at all, and they need to work on their Vertigo map, but we kind of did expect it with the win percentage of Hellraisers there, and this one is actually very even between the two sides, almost 50-50, well, 42 versus 40 if I'm not mistaken. So I do expect Hellraisers to show up, because on paper Hellraisers should slightly be ahead of APEKS, just a tiny bit ahead of APEKS in player skill wise. So Train is a heavy executable map. You've got massive molly smokes on both sides, and I mean, yeah, compared to Vertigo, way more advanced strats that are at the moment available for the T side. So who do you think is going to take this one?
Well, it's really interesting, actually, because obviously this is the pick of Hellraisers coming forward into the series, but they've only won one of their last 5 outings on this map, and they were rather hefty beatings they were taking in a lot of occasions on Train as well. And APEKS haven't played here in a long time, so I'm really not sure what to expect, but we do have the knife round of Train ready and waiting to go for you, ladies and gentlemen. Map 2 between Hellraisers and APEKS to determine who will be advancing to the playoffs with that early spot. It could all be decided with an APEKS victory here on Train, and they will be desperate to start on the CT side out of this nice round.
I actually just checked, and Hellraisers have a higher win rate on the T side than the CT side, which is surprising because their opponents, APEKS, have a terrible win rate. They only have 35% of their rounds on the T side, so they definitely do need to start on the CT side. Whereas Hellraisers, I think they're very comfortable on both sides, especially the fact that you know how to play on the T side on Train is massive, because you need to know all the executes to make it through. So
this is something that was discussed, but before we talk about it, we can mention the odds from our partners over at LootBet, favoring Hellraisers again in this second map as the favorites. Now, I definitely didn't agree with them being the favorites on Vertigo, and I think I was certainly right there. It's a much more balanced affair here on Train, but I might have brought the odds slightly closer than that.
Yeah, I think it would be, especially with the starting on the CT side, you definitely have a good solid chance. Oh no, not again. This time it's actually Reigning Supreme. Double kill coming up with the dualies. And the push towards A side's coming through Dennis. However, the Pistol Meister gets one and then done, but it does look like APEKS is going to be able to hold the line.
And this is something to consider as well for the series. Hellraisers got virtually nothing done fragging-wise on Vertigo. 2 kills for 2 guns for Gruz, but more importantly, momentum for APEKS. If they can keep fragging like that and dominating the early rounds, eventually Hellraisers are going to start to tilt at the fact that they're not being able to win any gunfights at this point in time. And when they start tilting, the T side of Train, they discussed this on the strat book recently, it's so much like a chess match. You're spending so much time trying to draw those CT positions away and make them confused as to where you're going to attack, that if Hellraisers do tilt on this T side, their tactics might go so poorly awry they can't convert this map.
Well, Truth does clean up that Ivy, and the kill coming in from James is going to be pretty much in vain. Gets a dig shot, takes down Dennis, but Truth does drop Problem. Could he make something more out of this round? They did sort of eco on HELLRAISERS, very small buy coming out, which means they could go for a very weak buy next round, or just go for double eco and pick up another deagle, unless Problem gets a bomb plant somehow.
He's definitely going to be holding for this aggression, but it looks like he might have just missed the timing. It doesn't matter. Marcelius has got the frag anyway. He survives on 10 HP, and the 3 FAMASes stay alive for APEKS, which is important from an economic perspective. But it's Truth who really farmed up that cash with the triple kill early on in that round. And HELLRAISERS, now they're going to bring the full rifles out, but this is a rather comfortable buy to be utilizing as the CTs. Marcelius has an AWP in hand. Yes, they're FAMASes, but they're better than SMGs, and there's very weak utility available for the T side.
Yeah, this is, I mean, with this amount of utility, you need to have a certain execute ready. JR takes down Grass. That gives them a nice man advantage. Marcelius with the op, though, peeking down Hell, and it's going to be Dennis probably flashed in. He's waiting for a flash from his teammates. There, it's going to fly through, but it's too late. Dennis already got taken care of by JR. His teammates were throwing other utility and not ready to save his buddy, and Dennis gets caught out. This is looking pretty good for HELLRAISERS.
Even better with that missed shot as more space is given to the T side. They can push ever forward now, but Marcelius eventually does reply with the big green gun. A smoke dropped in the sight as JR could be in trouble at the bottom of red. Truth removes him without taking a single point of damage, but APEKS has lost control of the B bomb site. Problem runs straight in and gets an important headshot, and these smokes are enough to stop APEKS from charging in to deny the plant. It looks like they still want to attempt the retake. With an AWP and an AUG, they do tilt themselves towards longer range engagements, but they're not happy to engage in a 2-on-3. They'll flee with their rifles and try and save them into the next round.
They should have a decent enough buy on the CT side. AKES still has 2.5k, Gruz has 2.1, and with the 2 saved weapons, especially that op, you should definitely have a solid chance of taking the next round. And HELLRAISERS, with the shoddy buy, they still managed to secure the round in their favor. But Kalinka, if he falls there, that might be very costly.
Could be seriously problematic for him, but he's just about gotten away onto the A bomb site. So these 2 CT rifles are going to be preserved, but HELLRAISERS have managed to make an early statement on the T side, and they could really take economic control here as well. With the 2 rifles saved forward, AKs and Grust just about have enough to justify an investment, and that's what's going to come through from the CT side. So HELLRAISERS, they do have a solid chance in this round, if they can win it, to take control of the early economy and start building some vital momentum.
What kind of defensive execute are we going to see? It's not that big of an aggression coming out from HELLRAISERS. So far, we've seen them on the T side on Vertigo, and they'd rather play slow than fast. I think we saw 2 solid rush rounds coming out, so you most of the time can just, toss one molly, and that should be enough to hold HELLRAISERS from peaking. However, JR did open up pretty nicely last round, and they are out pretty aggressively here on HELLRAISERS. So with the smokes coming in, Dennis and the Deagle, I mean, he is the pistol meister. Does he get the kill? No, he does not. Truth gets taken out though, and now Marcelius going up in the sky.
Ooh, does land the important shot. A second as well for the big green gun as he hunts his 3rd down atop the blue train, but it's Problem to get the next frag of the round. So paranoid now HELLRAISERS about this AWP, but Kalinka's removed it from proceedings and left the Norwegian captain alone in a 1-on-2, one that he doesn't even want to fight against by the looks of things. Instead, he'll rotate around and take a different angle off the back of that flashbang, but HELLRAISERS, playing this slowly, have just spotted him out. He's dealing decent damage at the moment, and that bomb plant is being covered, so he will still have to pull off a 1 versus 2, and on 43 HP, he's at no real advantage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he did manage to get this one out, and JR even picks himself an op for his troubles. That's going to put APEKS on a save round most certainly.
There's no justification from them to buy at all. I mean, Dennis, Gruss, and Truth, they can't even buy up because they're so close to $2,000. They just have the hard eco. This looks like an easily convertible third round for Hellraisers.
Marcellus does have enough money in the bank, though, to make it possible for him to buy it in the next round. But a USP kill coming in, jiggle peeking from Gruss, unfortunately does not connect onto the head of Mars. What is happening? Why are these USPs winning?
They're taking long-range gunfights, and they're actually hitting heads as well. The issue now, though, for Apex is that all these rifles are grouped up together, but they weren't looking at APEKS. He could have found a cheeky little lineup there, but unfortunately just doesn't have the correct weaponry available in the round to work with. And now Marcellus, he has a Mac 10, but on just 20 HP and no body armor, very unlikely he finds this round.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane how much damage they did with just USPs. If Marcellus managed to get another kill, it would be massive. Oh, the spray coming out. What? Don't tell me that it's actually going to happen. It's 1v1 op versus Mac 10. If he drops the op, that would be already enough. I mean, oh, he misses JR. Timing?
Be a decent round, but yeah, JR just about manages to win it out at the end, secures it for Hellraisers, but that was, I mean, far too close for comfort. Nothing invested into that round at all from APEKS, and it came down to a one-on-one that was almost winnable there by Marcellus.
Yeah, and they do have enough money for a full buy on the side of Hellraise, but they've got barely anything left behind it. And that is super dangerous for them. I mean, losing 4 players against USPs. Oh, I mean, I think there was 1 P250 and the rest were USPs. How? I mean, if they were Deagles, sure, but this was just straight up not paying attention half the time. Getting caught off, thinking, oh, they're only against USPs, we can man-fight them easily.
Clearly a bit of overconfidence from Hellraisers, bringing into those one-on-one engagements, and you have to be realistic as well. You don't lose a 1v1 to a USP without making some individual mistakes with your rifle. This time Hellraisers are going to look to break into the B-bomb site, and APEKS have defenders ready, but very limited utility. They've not been able to stop the drop into the site. Dennis has eventually shown up, though, and found himself 2 huge kills at close range. APEKS is now advancing through the upper lines, and Flaric is left alone. 1v4 to deal with these CTs, and he can't convert even the first kill. APEKS, they do win a round back eventually. They do it with 4 alive as well, which is nice news for their bank. And you mentioned it at the start of that last round. Hellraisers had nothing to support their buy, and now it's them who have to drop down to the pistols.
Yeah, that was pretty well done indeed by Dennis defending on next to the oil tanker. It's well, they're gonna go for a full buy, but they've got 3 smokes and a flash. So this is pretty much gonna be a dry rush to try and get anything done, but it's gonna be very tough. Marcellus is holding that Olaf. He needs a little bit of help from the Ivy push. Is gonna drop that off. And Truth wanted to flick away from that angle.
Really expecting aggression elsewhere, but Kalinka's just been hit straight in the back with a smoke, and APEKS has flanked around and cleaned them both up. Hellraisers, they took Ivy control at bare minimum, but unfortunately were not able to do much else with that round. And now we have the opportunity to talk about our partners over at Hellcase, the biggest and most well-known case opening website with almost 100 cases, updated case battle, the upgrader, dozens of monthly giveaways, and tons of more unique features. APEKS, they have a 1-round advantage on this CT half. As Hellraisers look to eco, APEKS might just be able to extend that to 2, but I think they're going to need at least a 9-6 half on the CT side based on how historically weak their T sides have been.
Yeah, this they need to win with a nice little comfy cushion so that they can even lose a couple on the other side. However, look at this sneaky play coming up. APEKS standing on top of the ladder, waiting for his teammates to give the signal that, you know, he's fallen back and then he can peek himself, because they'll never expect the second player to peek in wide.
They certainly are not ready for it. Hellraisers on the eco do not manage to secure a bomb plant for themselves, and APEKS get through it without losing any players. Always good news cash-wise for their side, but now this is the important round to focus on. Hellraisers are bringing nothing but AKs and utility in towards it, and they might want to go quickly out of T-Con here. Early CT utility is going to dissuade them from that challenge, but they still haven't given up yet.
Yeah, no, the round is still young. JR gets the first frag. Cross is close range, but sprays JR through the box, and it's another man advantage round for APEKS. Flarich. Gruss is playing close range. APEKS gets another kill onto that B site now. And now it's just all on Kalinka and Flarich. Peeks out wide, dry peek, hopes that the Opper's not paying attention, but Marcelius is not going to whiff that shot. And now it's all on Kalinka. He does have the bomb, and he only needs to take care of Akaz to be able to get the bomb plant on the B site. If he's going to head that direction, needs to be careful because... Oh, jumps down! Marcelius looking up into the sky, but does not spot the player perfectly, and now it is Kalinka. He's gonna molly the player in T-main out. Is getting sprayed all the way from Ivy, and is slowly crawling forward, but his back is turned and is gonna get shot from the front. Truth secures the round victory, and APEKS 6-3. Hellraisers, we don't want a repeat of the last map. Please wake up. We know that your T side is actually better than your CT side, so please show us.
Not boding well at the moment for Hellraisers, and I wonder how much of that setup in the last round was actually deliberate there from APEKS. They send Dennis in, and he does get wrecked immediately, but he baits out the peek from both players, which allows Marcelius to find one of them, and as the second player peeks back in to hide from the AWP, he can then be aggressed into by the follow-up rifle that converts the second kill. I'm not sure how much of that was a deliberate tactical setup and how much of it was just a good recovery from the man lost early on in the round from APEKS. Either way, they've started this CT side off very well indeed, and this is what I was alluding to at the start of the map. If they can get off to a strong start, they can hurt Hellraiser's mental game quite substantially, but also APEKS really don't play this map very often. There's going to be very little evidence for Hellraisers to utilize against them, and if they have any new kind of preparation, it's certainly working out for them now.
Yeah, this I can't believe that Nate actually barely did anything towards Ivy. Oh, this is easy shutdown. The last man standing problem. No bomb anywhere in sight. So let's see if he can drop Akaz and get himself an M4 upgrade. Oh no, AK. Oh.
Well, problem, but he looks around for some shots on the B-bomb site, but Akaz is firmly able to put him away. 7-3 lead now for APEKS as that gap is starting to widen indeed. And the chess match that is the T side of Train currently being lost out by Hellraisers. They seem to be going very quickly, very contact heavy, and that's something that rarely works out. You see a lot of teams take so long in their gun rounds because they are trying to really mess with the heads of their opponents on the CT side. They're trying to use their utility that fakes in a way they can attack the more weakly defended bomb sites. But Hellraisers have not been doing much of that. It's been fairly default commitment towards T-Con and Ivy that's been shut down by aggressive CT fragging that we knew APEKS were going to bring into Train because it was a staple of their CT side of Vertigo.
Again, I say it every time. I love the camera panning. It's one of my favorite things to always watch. Just the smooth panning around. It is going to be a heavy Ivy committal coming through. Actually runs through that molly. Close range Kalinka. And a 3-man Ivy push. This is... Let's see how the defense is going to go. Blind spray through the smoke. Always entertaining. If he's going to connect anything, and Marcelius needs to fall back towards site, otherwise he is going to get completely flanked, but Kalinka shuts him down. Opper dropped, top fragger dropped. Luckily, Gruss is there to chime in. JR still with that op, the IGL. He's finally letting himself shine. And it's going to be a decent defense. Dennis does not catch him out on top of the train and falls to problem. Now it's all on APEKS, 1 versus 3. Finally, HELLRAISERS make some magic happen.
A series of misplays from APEKS in that particular round. They allow the one-on-one engagements to go HELLRAISERS' way and allow the T-side control of the A-bomb site. But the streak from APEKS has been so great that they can continue to bring buys forward. Marcelius with an AWP in tow as well. It's still looking good for APEKS in this round in terms of the weaponry. And I'm going to stick to my guns. I really think the 9-6 scoreline is what APEKS want to target at a bare minimum. Because even at that scoreline, if HELLRAISERS win the pistol and convert the following 2 rounds on their own map pit, you'd expect them to have the firm advantage at that point.
Oh, APEKS getting aggressive, losing against Problem. That means B site's completely empty and they have to rotate quickly. Yeah, Problem is gonna fake it towards B, and that's gonna force 2 CTs to run that direction, and they're playing the mind games because, oh no, Gruss does change it back. Is now stuck in pop without any support coming through. He does need to be careful, down to 19 HP. That is nade territory.
There are some in the hands of the players above. That Molotov's going to come down, and Gruss is completely blind. He doesn't know when or where to drop the smoke. And that is great utility play there from HELLRAISERS to punish the player in pop. But now they still have to turn this into an A execution. And the Molotov is going to burn out time and damage. Marcelius has found the first kill onto Kalinka as well. Now Jalem is slowly aggressing towards this A site. Truth peeks around at the right time, but whips that spray down. It's Marcelius who has to recover. And now Dennis is on the B bomb site. He's guessed that this could be a fake from the HELLRAISERS. And he swings out left, looks for an important kill and gets it. JR now with it all to do on his shoulders, and Marcelius, the star AWPer from APEKS, finds a triple and shuts down the round.
That was very crucial. Marcelius 16, 1 and 5. I can't, that they managed to convert this in a win for APEKS was pretty marvelous. They were a man down. They were completely spread out between the 2 sites, but because HELLRAISERS did not commit onto a site together, they were put at a, they were put at, again, the 1 versus 1 duels, and this time APEKS did win the duels.
Well, the round lead at very minimum secured for APEKS, but Marcelius is in serious trouble. He's being aggressed into. His teammate is bailing him out massively, though. APEKS gets 2 huge kills, and Gruss swings out Connector to clean up the rest of HELLRAISERS. Kalinka again now in a 1-on-3 scenario. HELLRAISERS go for the contact B play, but it all goes APEKS's way now, as a 1v3 would be necessary to deny 9 rounds.
Gruss gets the last one, and well, it's actually surprising that Marcelius managed to get away. He couldn't get the molly out in time. He tried to decide between either re-peeking with Yop or dropping the molly and made a couple of fumbles there. Eventually did get caught on the retreat because of it, but luckily enough, on the high ground, APEKS was standing there and sprayed everyone down to make sure that Gruss had an angle to keep them distracted and shut down that push. Very well done by HELLRAISERS. They got very close in taking him down, but unfortunately no one took down APEKS in time.
Rifle still on the board for HELLRAISERS, but it's 2 Galils and a Tech 9 supporting the better weapons. And they want to try and crack into this B bomb site once again. 3 players lined up in the back of B, but APEKS are reading this like a book. They've got 3 stacked into the site, with Gruss ready to aggress up Pop Dog whenever he is ready. The 3rd player rotates back in, and APEKS at close range is going to have the work to do. Can't get anything at close range as Kalinka overwhelms him with a Galil, and Marcelius is now worried about where to peek from. He drops down to protect himself as Dennis is overwhelmed at close range as well. Marcelius needs to be aware that they could rush through this smoke straight into him. Truth has to be the man there to defend as Kalinka peeks through. Marcelius spots him out. He actually sees another player on the train, but it's his teammates who are finding the important kills. He misses a shot, but now lands the second as Problem is taken down. Gruss will find Flarich, and unfortunately for HELLRAISERS, they get so close, but they are denied yet again a T-side round.
There was not even a real, Brown Hall's defender, so that you at least had the possibility of playing the bomb timer. They just all tried to get aggressive, and the T's they ran into each other while they're trying to get aggressive. So they you know, at one point there's a T and literally every possible hiding corner. So then it's just peek there, peek there, peek there, and they just get shut down instead of playing spread out more, playing the bomb, playing the time. Hellraisers need to keep a level head in some of these situations, and they just get, it seems, very stressed out. They're like, oh, we got the bomb site. What are we gonna do now?
Oh, APEKS tries for that B aggression. This time Problem is ready for it, though. Now, it's not totally a nightmare, but Marcelius has actually got an auto sniper in his hand. That wasn't necessarily something I was aware of earlier on, and he's going aggressive with it towards Ivy as well. Dennis has just saved his teammate Gruz on the A bomb site there by taking down Jalem and has brought it straight back into a 4-on-4. Truth has total control of Ivy as well, which means Hellraisers, they should not be ready to go into the A bomb site. APEKS think it's all committed towards B, and they might just be right. But as Truth arrives, it is going to be the A bomb site attacked by HR.
But that flank is going to be absolutely massive. Dennis with the op. I mean, that's why he's the secondary opper. And from behind comes Truth. Do they expect any part of this flank? No, they do not. He gets behind them and shuts him down. Flash is on the bomb site, and one man alone. Truth takes him down while he jumps past Dennis, and that is going to be the very clear round half victory for APEKS, 11-4. Wasn't that the same score as the last map?
I think you might just be right. If it wasn't, it was a 12-3. Very similar either way. And Hellraisers looking a bit shell-shocked at the moment. While I certainly wasn't expecting them to be able to perform so well on Vertigo on their own map pick, I certainly expected them to put up a decent fight. But on the T side, they are falling apart. And now our partners over at LootBet definitely giving APEKS the edge in this map. It's now 4-1 odds against Hellraisers, but it was an incredibly different story at the beginning. 5 rounds needed for APEKS to close this one out, and if they get the pistol, it'll be all the easier task for them.
And a very quick push towards A, but look at that Ivy rush from Hellraisers. That is an interesting choice. They're going to go for it. It is going to be a B push, it seems, with one flanker towards A. Truth takes down JR. That might distract Problem, but no, they're going to head out. 3 players up long. Oh, what a shot from Gruz. With the P250 bot out. Takes a second. Luckily, Flares does chime in with 2 taps. And a
This
dream.
is nasty. Oh, Flaric is getting it done. APEKS, he's brought it back into the one-on-one scenario now, but Kalinka has his back, and I don't know whether he just spotted him there. APEKS has got no body armor to work with either, but Kalinka's gotten it done. The 1 taps on the B bomb site, and Flaric, what a hero he is for Hellraisers.
Completely shutting them down with almost 3 bullets. That was the hero play they needed, because it looked
Disastrous right there. And with that pistol, they have a chance to come back into this game.
Flaric really bailed his side out there. They needed that one, and you have to wonder from APEKS, is that overextension, getting aggressive, walking into those crosshairs, and ultimately falling to them? They still have a rather decent opportunity to convert the second round, though, because they have 3 rifles on the board, supported by Marcelius on a scout. This is not a weak buy whatsoever, as long as they call through the right strategy.
Well, that nade did a little bit of damage, but it is going to be another B execute. The only one on the B side is Problem. And if they hurry up, they could completely shut him down, but they don't want to waste their molly on the smoke and rush through. Luckily, JR rotates in, and that should definitely help out with the B defense.
He's only got a scout in hand, though, so at long range, he really does have to hit those headshots. If Apex can find the entries here, this is going to be a nice attack for them, but there are flanks on the way that they need to be worried about. HELLRAISERS have total control over the A side of the map, but now the attack is coming through. JR finds a weakened Grust, but Marcelius' scout comes out better in that engagement. The flank is already here, however, and I don't know if Apex are going to be ready for this one at all. Famas in the hands of Jalen, but APEKS has turned around. Marcelius gets Kalinka, and HELLRAISERS had a chance stolen away from them. APEKS in the second round take control of the economy and seriously upset the HRCT side.
I mean, the scout shot from Marcelius was amazing, but that entire round did not make sense. Who was that? Was that Problem who turned his back? He was climbing up the ladder, turned his back to Long, did not even expect a single player to be there. He just got shot from behind. Same thing happened in the end right there. The bomb was being planted. I don't remember who it was, but Jalen, I think, with the flank, he walks down the ramp and has absolutely no idea that anyone could be watching him. He has his knife in his hand. Why would you have your knife in your hand at that point?
Clearly just not expecting the timing on that execution. HELLRAISERS, unfortunately, they play it wrong, and look at the buy they have to bring forward now to deny APEKS the economic advantage. Bear in mind, HELLRAISERS would be dropping onto an eco after this buy. If they lost, this could be a 14-5 early scoreline unless the scouts and M4 can show up big.
I mean, it is one of the nicest maps to jiggle peek with a scout out there, so especially these long haul areas are pretty nice. Double peek coming through, 1-for-1 trade so far. Dennis and Flarage both drop. There's going to be another one. Jalen chimes in, but look at that. It's going to be a 3-on-3. One player on the A site completely stuck, and towards B.
What?
Problem drops them both. Bomb is down on the B site. The team rotates, and now it's all on to AKAZ, and they know he was just on the A site as well. They even hear the step from him dropping.
Problem has just saved the entire round for his side. These scouts only have to land one shot now, and APEKS knows it. There's flames in his front. My word, close range Deagles can be just as dangerous as they are with those one-shot headshots. It is not the time yet for APEKS to take control of this first map, and they're actually trying to hunt him down. Eventually, APEKS does fall. HELLRAISERS stay alive, and it's all thanks to Problem on B.
Oof, that's an oof right there. I mean, are we going to trade rounds? APEKS, are they going to save? It seems they're going to be saving and going for the full buy next round instead. I think that's the better choice. You have a decent, 6-round advantage. You don't want to blow it all on just going, we need to win the next round. We need to, no, you just get the weaponry you need, get the execute possibility. And Jalen, close range. Oh, will Marcelius peek out wide?
Jalen might have just missed him here, and he's missed the kill onto Grust now as well, who's found another Marcelius. They deal damage with these pistols, APEKS. They look so dangerous. Marcelius, is he able to recover a rifle? He might just be able to, and if he can, that makes it so terrifying for HELLRAISERS in this round. Surely they didn't just do all that work to fall foul to an eco, as now Marcelius has been cleaned up. It's not quite the disaster that it could have been from the HELLRAISERS point of view, but even from a full eco, that's great damage.
Yeah, that's a lot of economic, especially against the CT side. The side that normally is, well, it always is just way more expensive. Molly costing 600 and everything. It's, you got to buy kits, and the weapons are just more expensive. So it is problematic for the CT side to try and keep up. JR is actually keeping money in the bag, not going for nades at all, not even upgrading his weapon. So with the 5 AKs, APEKS are in the advantage at the moment on this second map. Well, they have been the entire time, but with the weaponry as well up in the sky, though, it is going to be Flarage chiming in with the first kill. Always a nice little spot in that heaven area.
And it works out for HELLRAISERS in this round as well. Now APEKS, a man down, and absent utility. That is a real nightmare for their buy. CT side don't have much to work with either, but it still leads in their favor as they just have to wait for you to walk into them. JR gets it right and Gruz gets it wrong. Dennis and APEKS get kills back for their side, but HELLRAISERS can shut it down on the A bomb site. It feels now that they're starting to wake up after that huge deagle play from Problem. They're now inspired and firing on all cylinders. The gap shrinks to 4 rounds and potentially 3 as APEKS just can only bring the pistols into round 21, and the gap will be reduced ever further.
I mean, the most crucial part is the fact I don't think that that Marcellus has had an op on the T side yet. As long as they can keep that out of his hands, they have a solid chance at evening out the score. And Marcellus should not have enough money to buy it in the next round unless they get a bomb plant in. Which normally should be highly unlikely, but you never know with these APEKS Deagle Masters. Gruss drops one towards Ivy. Luckily, Jalem is there to even it out and give his team the advantage. A little bit of damage dealt to him, but it's now all on Akaz and Dennis, and I don't really think that they have a solid chance with their HP.
Not in a 2-on-4 scenario. I think you might just be right. Flarich cleans up Dennis last, and now just 3 rounds lie between these sides. If they wanted an AWP, Marcellus would have to go glass cannon, and the utility is just too important on the T side of Train. APEKS know it. We all know it. They have to keep the grenades on the board instead of going for additional firepower in that scenario. And HELLRAISERS, now with 2 ops on the board, they can really just take over the CT side and force us on to nuke. If APEKS don't start winning rounds soon, if they don't break this HR momentum, then I think it's a very real possibility that the CTs can stand tall and close out this map. APEKS need to be creative here, and Akaz being removed early by utility is not the way you want to start.
Yeah, no. APEKS want to get that aggressive movement going on, but they're not cleaning out any corners. Tries to run into the smoke and stay hidden. Gruss luckily shuts him down, but on the side, Flarich, I think he just spotted Flarich out. And the flank from JR already in Pop Dog is going to get smoked off. But they have so many angles that they need to keep an eye on for this. I mean, look at the flank all the way from behind. It is Problem right behind Truth. And the bomb is actually on Truth. So if he gets caught right there, that might be disastrous. And the long range angles are being held by these ops. They're kind of sitting ducks here on APEKS.
They really are just at the mercy of HELLRAISERS, waiting for the eventual advancement to come through. Kalinka can take down Truth before he can even get onto the site, and now that's going to make APEKS so isolated when they commit to this plant. Only one player can stand out, and JR has found the kill he's looking for. He's left Gruss completely alone, and despite doing damage onto the secondary AWP, he's still in serious trouble. Problem will take him down, and now 2 rounds lie between HELLRAISERS and their opponents. The comeback is certainly real at this point, and APEKS, they look to drop the pistols yet again.
It so looked like Kalinka accidentally shot JR there with the moment that the camera angle changed. Like you saw him right in the crosshair and then immediately the camera angle changed. It was like, did he just shoot him? But yeah, that was a nice another round for HELLRAISERS. They've only lost 1 round on the CT side, 6-1 in their favor currently. And APEKS, they need to make some magic happen because again, JR starts off, takes down Gruss, and Gruss is a really big kill to take. He's been opening up a lot of these sites. Problem falls back, is just gonna play it slow, tosses the smoke, no need to rush, no need to waste the molly, most importantly.
You're absolutely right. APEKS, it's a very similar story almost to the problems HELLRAISERS were having on their T side. They've really never gotten an economy going so far, and crucially, they failed that one key opportunity they had to close out this map, and you really have no idea how much of a mental significance that has to these players. They want to drop the flashes out on B and push forward, but JR's not even blind. He still misses a shot and the follow-up flick as well. So the bomb will go down, but these rifles are going to be able to so easily clean up the bomb site that it is no problem for HELLRAISERS. Truth gets 1 with his Tech 9, but surely he doesn't get much more than 1 here. As he tries to defend, he still doesn't have a rifle available. He swings out to fight the AWP, but takes that fight at too long a range.
Yeah, actually, Kalinka misses the shot, but he got stuck on the ramp, so couldn't actually get back in time, and loses his life. They did get a bomb plant, so that puts them at a buttload of money, and Marcelius will finally be able to pick up that op and start playing the game. I mean, he is up against a duo op setup, so you need to win those op fights. He does have, well, almost the same amount of kills as JR and Kalinka combined, so Marcelius should be able to win those duels and shut down the oppers. Luckily enough, Hellraisers do have a lot of money in the bank behind him. Jalem, of course, still has to buy, but look at Kalinka, 8,800, JR, 7,500. They have enough for 2-3 buys if they would lose this one drastically.
And that's the factor that Hellraisers just have in the back of their mind. We're the side with the safety net at the moment. Not in terms of maps they aren't, but in terms of economy in this map they are. And perhaps they're going to be the hungrier side as well, as they know they face loss in the series with a loss here on train. Still in the lead at APEKS with their AWP now in hand. And after that timeout, called through by Hellraisers, by the way, which is a rather interesting call considering APEKS have not really been able to build any momentum in this first half. But either way, it is this primarily Norwegian side that really has to do the work. Jalem looking to punish Dennis as well, but he does get away with his life and drops an A to deter any further aggression. There's an AWP actively watching Ivy, and the secondary AWP's waiting in the wings to shut this down. Marcelius has to be perfect.
Oh, they're gonna lose Dennis. This is catchy. Jumps up. He's gonna peek out wide with the Deagle. Gets himself a kill. Versus Marcelius is gonna lose that duel right afterwards. It is gonna be a 3-on-3 situation with the bomb still under control of APEKS. I mean, they have a solid chance here. They've got way more utility than Hellraisers have left. So they can definitely smoke out, for instance, that B. I mean, if they actually go B, that could be massive. Only problem then, he has one flash, even playing the connector area all the way back. So toss a couple of smokes, a molly in towards connector, and you should have that B site completely cleaned out. But the rotation comes out from flares. They've been waiting too long. It's taken too much time, and they know it's most likely going to be a B push.
The utility raining in as well, so they're not going to be deterred from their advanced positions at least. But problem has been found early. It doesn't matter when Flarich can sit at the back of the site and find the headshots like he has been. Marcelius, he's going to find the plant at bare minimum, but now he has two players to worry about. Drops the smoke to his right and pops a flash in the air. He has an AWP to defend this bomb with his life, but he's got to be completely perfect. Advances close to the smoke and allows Flarich to spot his head. It is a tied scoreline for Hellraisers as they continue their dominant tear of the CT side.
Flarich shutting down all three of the B pushers on, well, just turning it around, even managing to save that op for JR, and that is going to be, well, a world of hurt for APEKS. What kind of strat do you have left? It just took them too long to rotate to get the B plant in, and they missed a smoke for the cross. Unfortunately, they didn't have all the utility they desired, but I think that B is still the better site to go for towards, especially with the problem every single round being the only one there. You just need to make sure that you smoke out the molly that he tosses.
That's a nice opening shot from Marcelius, and the issue with APEKS going towards the B site is they've had more success over there, sure, but that success has only come from bomb sites. This retake style that Hellraisers are playing is absolutely brilliant, and Flarich is just shutting APEKS down at every opportunity on the B site. Finally, Marcelius has found APEKS the first kill of a round, and it feels like a long time since the T's have had the opening entry as well. But now, re-aggression is about to come through from HR, and Gruss might just be able to put a stop to it. 3 entries now found by APEKS as they look to push into the A bomb site. JR will be overwhelmed, and eventually HR's streak will be put to a stop. APEKS get 13 just at the last opportunity to keep the lead in their favor.
Yeah, this was a little bit uncharacteristic from Hellraisers on their defense. They've been very passive on their defense. In this round, they tried to get towards the pop dog,
peek it twice, and they just got shut down. I mean, it probably was because of the fact, again, they were a man down, so you want to make a play to get the advantage, but Marcelli is holding the long angle, and that opener of him did a lot more than we would have expected, because this, look at Gruss. Easy 2-tap, and JR misses another shot. He's completely a sitting duck, annihilated, and Apex, I mean, how many rounds has it been since they got one?
At least 6, I feel. At least 6 at a very minimum. And finally,
7 rounds.
7 consecutive, exactly. That's just absolutely phenomenal work from HRCT's side. And you're right, that Marcelius opening AWP kill, if he doesn't get it, it doesn't prompt that HR aggression, which means Gruss doesn't get those 2 follow-up kills, and it's still a 5 versus 5 scenario that Apex have to deal with. This time, Gruss is arguably the luckiest man in the server to escape from that opening scenario with an AWP still in hand. Dennis recovers after Flowich finds APEKS, but Pop Tog control now on the side of Apex as Jalen re-aggresses. He wrestles it straight back, and that's more what they were going for in the round prior.
Okay, what was that? Okay, well, yeah, Gruss now. The one tag down to 4 HP is the last man standing and will fall, but that was a weird pop dog round, pretty much. The double drop down, losing one, then the second guy gets a kill, loses the trade afterwards, and on top of it, like standing on top of Pop in that angle, you very rarely see anyone win that duel.
A bit confusing towards the end. I do have to agree with you that Marcelius is choosing the fight on that engagement, but HELLRAISERS winning a round immediately means that they could be back in the driving seat of this map, and with double AWPs back out, they could really be in a position to close things out with this round. The Apex economy would be in dire straits having lost. HELLRAISERS would then be on 14, hunting 15. It's definitely come down to the latest possible stages of train, but I think HR may just have done enough to take control of this one. With T-Con control in the round, they just have so much map presence that it puts pressure on Apex immensely.
It's going to be... I mean, this is do or die for both teams, actually. Luckily, there is Kalinka with the first. Misses the second, though. That is going to give an opening for Ivy. But again, it's going to be a very aggressive pop dog hold coming out from HELLRAISERS. They really do favor this pop dog. Oh, Dennis peeks right into Jalem's sight, and that is a man advantage coming in for HELLRAISERS. The pop dog aggression finally does pay off again. With a problem on the B site, Solo on his lonesome. They know that there's probably still one in pop dog, so Gruss is going to hold that angle, and they're going to go for most likely the B execute.
Well, if they'd have dropped that Molotov about 40 seconds earlier, Dennis wouldn't be dead at this point in time, but unfortunately, they have to deter Jalem away late, and now they look to go into the B bomb site, but there's 2 players waiting to come in and flank them, and there's 2 players close in the site. What on earth do they hope they're going to get done? Flowich has found APEKS, who drops down the ladder, and Marcelius creeping out onto B has actually worked out in this scenario. He's going to get problem, but does he expect JR up close and personal? He's taken down his teammate now as well, and Marcelius is using sound to try and bait, but he has no time to work with. Doesn't get taken out after time, but it doesn't matter. His team's money is at almost breaking point.
Yeah, they were so close to getting that bomb plant in, but JR just got the planter when he tried to cross towards site. It was so neck on neck that round. If he managed to find JR, if JR missed that shot, it would have definitely been an Apex round. But that is an if situation, and it's not happening. This is going to be Apex. They're going to have to force behind the op, because you're not going to get another chance with an op if you don't force up. They still have a couple of Galils. Well, actually, no, a bunch of AKs. Utility is going to be slightly lackluster, but they have enough for a decent execute with the 2 smokes, 2 mollies, and but 3 smokes, actually. And a couple of flashes. But the question is Truth gonna sacrifice his weaponry for utility, or is he actually gonna go for the AK pickup?
Looks like they go for the firepower, and I can't say I agree with that decision from Apex. It's felt like it's not been the gunfights, it's the tactics that have been losing them this T side. They've just been rushing. Well, not necessarily rushing all the time, but whenever they're pushing, it's just isolated angles where Hellraisers are aggressive and expecting it. They're getting opening kills, and look at all the map control the CTs get. Kalinka's already all the way out of Ivy, taking control of that portion of the map and popping down a deep smoke. It's isolated this attack, and look at this. JR's found the first kill. Marcelius gets one back, but he can't find his opponent's AWPer. And Hellraisers, I think I've definitely done enough to take us to nuke now. They're at a man disadvantage APEKS. They're trying to push AKES in through Ivy, but he can't even win his engagement against Kalinka. They've just looked like a completely different team on the T side.
Oh, that spray down the flash almost came in perfectly, but JR still gets Gruss somehow. He's on 3 frags with that op, and now it's all on AKES. Can he turn this round around? He did not expect flares to be that close, and it is 2 map points for APEKS before we hit nuke.
Hellraisers now with an excellent opportunity to force us on to nuke as the decider, and that's a map that definitely favors them as well. They'll be very happy that they've been able to come back from the 12-6 deficit. Think about where they mounted this comeback from. It was all based on that one round where they had no money remaining. Problem bailed them out, and now they've only lost 1 of the remaining rounds since that point in time. It is fundamentally phenomenal for Hellraisers, and can they put a stop to APEKS now? They dump utility in Ivy. They have double AWPs available, and if history has anything to say about it, things are already boding well for Hellraisers.
They haven't really gone for an aggressive Ivy push, actually, on the side of APEKS. And let's see if that might turn things around. But it is, well, they're a man down, and that it is AKES, so they are in a world of hurt. JR, they do have 2 flashes left on Gruz. Can they use those flashes to open up the site? He is in Ivy, so he needs to keep JR occupied. At least jumps past, still gets a blind shot onto Dennis. Once the repeat flares, they just have all the angles covered.
Well, Marcelius can get one back, but Jalem's continuing to open up frags. It's still a 4-on-2, and now it's a 4-on-1. Gruss is alone, and Kalinka has taken him out. APEKS completely collapse on their T side, like very few things I've ever seen. They only pick up 1 of the last few rounds there, 2 in total on their T side, as Hellraisers virtually clean sweep the defense and send us on to nuke. Don't go anywhere, folks, as that map is just around the corner.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Woo, damn! That was one of the best tickle fights fights I've been to.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Malta Vibes, brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. HR managed the immense comeback there on Train, the 11-4 scoreline, I believe, after that CT side. They came all the way back, and now we look at Nuke as our decider. My name is Protalis, and talking you through this series with me is, of course, DK Truman. What are your thoughts and expectations heading into our final map?
After that performance of HELLRAISERS coming back, I mean, yes, Nuke is again an AWP-heavy map, and AWPer versus AWPer, I definitely think that APEKS have the advantage there, but my God, did they play that one nicely. The comeback was insane. I have to say that APEKS was a little bit lackluster in their executes. They got caught off by a couple too many flanking positions, for instance, but I'm expecting HELLRAISERS to have a pretty comfy win on Nuke. Statistics-wise, they should. However, statistics don't speak anything about the game, and I hope that I'm going to be wrong so that we might have a close. Yeah, look at that, Marcelius. 1.59 KD. Absolutely insane so far in this series.
43 kills in 2 maps. It's not too bad considering there were only, 21 rounds in that first map, and he was fragging in pretty much all of them. So incredible work from the Norwegian AWPer, and he really is going to be a vital component of this APEKS side heading into Nuke. He just has to turn up on an absolutely insane level. And to be honest with you, it might not even be enough. We saw it on that T side of Train. They really did struggle over their APEKS on the T side of things. They couldn't get an AWP in Marcelius' hands very often at all, which meant he's less effective going forward in the half. And when you look at their history, I know you don't like to put too much of a weight onto statistics, but not only have APEKS not played an official match on Nuke since the start of July, but in their last 8 matches, they've only been able to win 1 of them on this map. So really, everything looks like it could be going in HELLRAISERS' favor heading into Nuke, especially when you consider what was that disastrous T side from APEKS on Train. And it looks as though we are just about ready to head into the knife round of our 3rd and final map in the series. APEKS going up against HELLRAISERS to determine who is advancing into the playoffs, and the knife round is just about ready to go.
This knife round, I mean, both teams clearly want to start on the CT side.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much your main goal. CT side has this is, I would say, the most CT-sided map in the game. It's so many close angles that you have to push through. And Dennis on the run. No! He's going to try and play the bait and switch. Does juke one knife, but does not juke the other. And that is going to be the most likely HELLRAISERS side starting on CT. Wait, what? Okay, they are.
Yeah. 100%
yeah,
HELLRAISERS on that CT side. Of course, that was what we were expecting them to bring forward. And we mentioned the win-loss record for APEKS on this map. Well, in the last 4 outings here on Nuke, and they were all in June, bear in mind. HELLRAISERS have been a long time since they've been able to play an official match here on Nuke, but of those last 4 matches, they only lost 1 of them, and that was a 16-14 to Simon in the We Play Clutch Island event. And our odds from our betting partners over at LootBet seem to favor HELLRAISERS here on Nuke as well. It's not all said and done for the side, but these are the odds I agree with most so far today.
Yeah, this is definitely a HELLRAISERS favorite side. Both teams are massively better on the CT side than on the T side, so that does not bode well for APEKS. Let's see if they'll be able to get anything going, because they need at least 5 rounds, I would say, just so that you don't have that fear of the losing the pistol round on the CT side.
At the very minimum, they're going to need 5 rounds. We saw that 11 wasn't enough for them to close out the map over on Train, but this pistol is going much better for APEKS as they start charging into the B site. Problem can only tap down 1, and Flarich doesn't have body armor to contest this 1v3. Kit and a smoke in hand, he's still going to go for it, and we saw just how nasty those headshots were over on Train as well, but Truth is going to put him down in this round, removes him completely, and starts things off well for APEKS.
That's a nice opener right there. Of course, they're gonna go for the double force up on Hellraisers. 2 scouts picked up immediately. I mean, this is a long range map. Deagle scouts 5-7. No idea what James has got, but I assume it's probably going to be a Deagle as well. And that is, yeah, I mean, with the double scout, going outside is really dangerous. Going ramp is really dangerous, so your best bet's probably go in there. But again, you know, you're up against Deagles possibly, and that close range is just pretty much a shotgun in your gut with the Deagle. And 1 drops down, which means they do have a B flanker, which is going to make ramp a lot less, a lot more scary to defend for Hellraisers, because they have no idea where APEKS is.
Oh,
and problem just gets annihilated by Dennis.
Just gets trampled there. Gruss is Mac 10 doing heavy work as well, and Jalem slowly wandering in on the flank, but he's going to have nothing to say about the bomb plant at very minimum, and he might not have anything to say about anything else either, as Truth is ready and waiting for that CT aggression. Bomb now down in the B site. It could be an argument just to save head armor here from Hellraisers. The likelihood they get anywhere near this B bomb site is so low, as their side has yet to do a single point of damage to the T's.
Yeah, now it's just save those weapons into the next round. I mean, you're going to have to fully eco anyway. So, armor, pistols. That's a... Okay, did not even know that you could stand there. That's kind of sneaky. But yeah, it's pretty much just wait and see. However, Kalinka... not landing a single shot onto his opponent there, and that is going to be a nice win for APEKS, not losing a single soul, giving them some extra cash in the bank. And Hellraisers, they only save 157, even not even a Deagle, with head armor and a smoke.
The pistol round on the T side of Nuke is so important as well if you can manage to get it in your favor, because of how difficult the full gun rounds are on this map. Taking a 3-round advantage at the start of the half is really great news, especially if you're hunting down that 5 or 6 round elusive scoreline. Without it, you have to win all of those rounds basically in full gun rounds, or you at least have to win full gun rounds to start those streaks off. At least with the pistol, you can start off with a nice buffer of early rounds, which can be hugely beneficial to that more difficult T side. And it helps you keep that CT economy under a bit of check early on as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, nearly Marcelius. Ever so nearly gets it done against the ecoing players. Eventually, Truth will finish him off, though. And that is the 3rd round converted by APEKS.
Yeah, it's also going to be the op buy coming up for JR. Is Marcelius going to pick one up as well? Nice spray, unfortunately, ran out of bullets. Otherwise, you would have had a nice ace to boot. But Marcelius getting those eco frags to at least boost his HLTV score.
Of course, going to be loving those individual statistics, and he now does have his famed AWP available in this round, and he's found a very fast kill with it as well. Jalem devastated in the early instance now, as already Hellraisers have to drop down at a man disadvantage. That means that this Mac 10 in the hands of Gruz is slightly less significant, as his team already have the lead, so they don't really need to worry about firepower disadvantages in any regard. And as long as they can keep playing the man advantage here, strafing around angles twice at the same time and getting the refrags, they should be able to hold on to this round.
Yeah, it's well, playing a couple of off angles, they should be able to defend it if they play it nicely. JR is down below actually with that op, expecting them to push secret, but it seems it's going to be an inside play towards the A site. Claridge misses the spray down. Gruss actually turns around, still gets the kill. Kalinka tries to spray him down. JR chimes in. It's going to be a 1-on-2 situation. He doesn't expect them that close, and APEKS is just going to shut him down. Dennis came from behind anyway, and that's another one for APEKS. Uh-oh. Are we going to be... Did we cast this curse ourselves by accident?
Well, we'll have to see. HR, I would certainly expect them to put up a slightly more impressive performance there. The issue, I think, in the A-bomb site, at least for Flaric, was that he tried to throw a smoke, I believe, to put out the Molotov that was landing on top hut to make Apex believe there's a player still in that position, but it actually just didn't extinguish. I'm not sure whether the timing was unfortunately wrong on it, but unfortunately for him, it means they are then swinging around and peeking exactly into his angle. They don't suspect the bait at all. And ultimately, they are just able to find him out with a MAC-10, I believe, was the weapon that got the kill on the way in. So it is a great 4-0 start for the Apex side, and we now have Deagles in the hands of HELLRAISERS, which we know can be dangerous, but traditionally it's been Apex looking more lethal with the pistols.
Jalen, close range. Does he spot them out? I would absolutely have no idea. Don't think so. But yeah, those are some of those angles which I would never be able to spot anyone out because I am blind when it comes to smokes in CSGO. But yeah, this is starting off nicely again for Apex. However, they might have their back turned to Kalinka.
Oh, that could be a bit of a dangerous prospect because, oh, maybe it isn't actually, as he just whips an entire magazine and now Apex are cleaning up the rest of his team. Flaric going for some lobby aggression with his 5-7, but JR is the man spotting the players out in heaven. Dealing damage at least, but Dennis has now removed him, and Flaric, I don't know if he will have been heard there. He definitely will now, but at least he's won his engagement and can save an AK for his team.
Are they going to go for the hunt, though? They do have enough money, but they might just rather up their own bank than try and knock down HELLRAISERS. Because there is, I assume eventually HELLRAISERS will win around when JR can get aggressive with the op. Of course, Marcelius is just, I mean, so far amazing. Every single game, like, big fan with that op.
Certainly been showing up today.
Yeah, Nuke is such a op-heavy map, so I am expecting him to peek those long angles, maybe get the aggressive peek towards Squeaky, which is one of my favorite things to do. You nade the door with while you're running, and then you quickly peek towards outside with that op, and anyone who crosses it will be an easy pick-off.
Well, let's see what option Marcelius goes with in round 6, as this T-side streak has already earned the 5 rounds you declared it minimum for Apex to need if they wanted a chance of survival on the CT side. And now they're hunting to turn this into a dominant first half. It's aggressive outside commitment from HELLRAISERS in the early instances, but it's worked out in favor of Apex early as Grus finds the first kill, but Kalinka's able to get it back. And now Marcelius can really become a reign of terror as he creeps around left as well. Kalinka in danger is to fall next, and now 2 are left to defend against the Apex attack. Flaric deep in the sight and problem in heaven. Flaric finds that opening kill onto Marcelius.
Yeah, but it is Dennis flanking from below. Problem is going to try and walk outside. Dennis, they might actually walk past. Oh, he just jumped down, and that's going to give some nice intel. Spray from Dennis. Almost misses the mark there, but Flaric is the last man standing. Actually walks through the smoke while the bomb is heading on towards the A site. So this is this should be a free bomb plant with Heaven under control for Dennis. And APEKS is going to be planting it. However, does he expect Flaric to come in from the flank from outside? He is going to peek it.
Always dropped
that
the smoke.
Yeah, it's a perfectly timed smoke.
It's really working out in Dennis's favor there. Flaric, he, I think, already had the information on Dennis's position, just about clipped some sound cues of him going up the ladder, but now that smoke makes this engagement far more difficult. He's predicted the angle correctly, but it's Dennis who comes out on top of the frags and converts 6 consecutively on the T side of Nuke. This is an absolutely amazing performance from Apex at the moment. Momentum well and truly in their favor, and Marcelius, if he can continue performing at this level, it is going to be a wonderful T-side for the Nords.
Yeah, they just so aggressive with the op outside. No one even back behind him, backing him up. His teammate already died, and he just keeps on pushing forward. They are trying to get the door peek. This is an aggressive round coming out from HELLRAISERS. They're pushing all the angles at the same time, and they will get themselves a
man advantage coming through with a lot of territory covered. Dennis, however, is going to go for the flank outside, is already at heaven. Will they expect him to be that far out? I think Flerich does have an idea.
Certainly on the flank and prepared for it, as Jalem's found Marcelius now. Flarich really appears ready for this engagement, and Problem on the flank could take Dennis down anytime he wants to anyway. Instead, it is Dennis who finds the opening kill, but Problem's just destroyed his teammate and left him now in a 1v3 clutch where the CTs knows his position, and JR is also scoping in on Heaven. It's Flarich who finds the kill and the first round for HELLRAISERS.
Finally, they managed to shut down APEKS, and it was off the back of a very aggressive CT push to try and get the map advantage. And they immediately rushed down lobby. No, they got pushed from every angle, and at that point, you're pretty much a sitting duck if you're not holding anything. I mean, that's one of the most easy strats. But if they would actually have a full man committal in. Pushed in, you would actually be in a very big problem if you were HELLRAISERS, if you go for that aggressive push. And right now, APEKS, yeah, they're a little bit more afraid, holding the angles, ready for a possible push coming through, but they're rushing towards B, and there's no one rotated yet towards the B side on HELLRAISERS.
That could be a huge problem indeed for the CT side, but as Problem actually sticks around to defend, JR now from the ramp is aware that there could be aggression and holds with the sniper rifle. He finds the first kill, 2-1 to Dennis now, and Grust gets him back at bare minimum, but the Molotov reveals Problem's position and allows Grust to convert it into a kill as well. On just 7 HP, he survives, but Marcelius does not expect Jalem to be as aggressive as he is and goes down completely for free, leaving it in a 3-on-3 retake that Jalem has brought into the man advantage.
Will they be able to defend? Their teammate is playing towards ramp, so Gruz can hide behind the side because he knows what angles they're at least not coming from. Ooh. And he's going to use that perfectly. Does lose his life afterward. It is going to be Truth trying to defend the bomb. Jalem has to make a play happen. He's going to pick right side, but he wins that duel, and the bomb defuse should be in time. And another one in favor of HELLRAISERS.
2 back-to-back. Could this be the stabilization that HELLRAISERS are looking for on the CT half? The gap only stands at 4 rounds at this point in time, but APEKS can still bring the guns out to try and widen it again. They've already done the minimum amount of work they have to on this T side at this point. It's just about turning up the heat for HELLRAISERS.
They need some hero plays like that last round. Jalem had 4 kills to his name. And yeah, they need the players to step it up. Ooh, Grust gets legged, but wants to go for the re-peek against the op. Marcelius, he's waiting for anyone to peek into his sights, but they're not giving him that possibility. Akaz actually gets shot. I think he got shot by Marcelius.
Yeah, I think so as well. Just in the back, but actually kills are being found now. If JR wasn't here to stabilize, it could have gotten dangerous for HELLRAISERS, but Marcelius can't fire shots off when he has no vision, and while they try and deal the damage in the vents, he is going to be able to run away into the B-bomb site and at least get a plant, you'd have to expect. However, a round victory might be too much to ask for.
Well, don't forget, it is Marcelius. Everything is possible. Misses the no-scope flick. And if he got that one, it was actually pretty doable. But unfortunately misses the no-scope, and that is going to be round number 3 for HELLRAISERS. Okay. I mean, APEKS already got as much as they needed from their T side. So they're definitely happy, even if this ends... Well, they'll probably not be happy if this ends 9-6 in favor of HELLRAISERS. But...
Certainly not.
Before, you know, the game started, they'd be happy with 6 rounds.
I definitely would have to agree with you there. They are going to bring the pistols out in round number 10 to try and keep wrestling things in their favor, but HELLRAISERS look to be stabilizing somewhat now. They have double AWPs available as well, and they're going to be trying to extend the rounds on their CT side as much as they possibly can. JR's found the opening kill, but Dennis has overwhelmed the secondary AWP on the B ramp. That's a recoverable sniper rifle now for Marcelius, you'd have to imagine, although I don't think he has any body armor. And JR takes down Dennis on the way in, continues to draw blood for HELLRAISERS, but won't be able to deny the bomb plant.
It's most likely going to be a nice retake situation. Utility, still a decent amount on the side of HELLRAISERS, and the AWP even gets dropped. Flarage takes down Gruss, and the last man standing is Truth, who gets rid of JR still, but it is going to be a bomb defuse for HELLRAISERS. Make that 4. This is getting a really, though. This is just a big recovery. Every single game so far, HELLRAISERS loses the beginning of the game and then slowly try to crawl themselves. But well, actually, the first game it was completely not the case. They got just demolished. But game 2 it definitely was so, and just really suck at the early game.
Perhaps that is the case. They just struggle to start firing off early in these maps, but the recoveries are well and truly on the way now. 2 rounds only lie between APEKS and HELLRAISERS, and this could be another falling apart of the T side for the Norwegian roster. JR aggressive on his AWP, the utility really just forcing him away from that aggressive angle, and he's going to miss a shot onto APEKS as well. That allows a nade to follow up the kill, and with the opening frag in this round, HELLRAISERS, they might not be able to reply. Jalen gets 1 back, but APEKS keeps the man advantage in their favor as Gruss fires out for a second kill.
Yep, a good flank from Kalinka, but at the moment, APEKS have all fallen back towards lobby. I mean, with only 3 defenders available, you probably have 1 A, 1 ramp, and 1 outside anyway. So they are going to gamble, push towards that ramp area. Problem is just moving away from the angle. Will he be able to re-peek in time? Does spot 1, but does not expect the others to be there. Gruss actually gets the shot in with the op, and they've got pretty much well, Kalinka could be a pretty big factor. Tries to spray through the smoke, but APEKS does guard his buddy. And now it is Flarage, who is, well, the op was dropped outside, so he's probably going to try and save the op.
Probably will be successful there as well. APEKS not really close enough to hunt him down and remove him, so he should be able to save that sniper. Throwing his AK away is a little bit pointless when you're up against a fully bought T side. That much does have to be admitted, but either way, AWP now in hand. He's going to back off towards T spawn and save it forward. But HELLRAISERS now are in serious trouble because they're on the much easier CT side of Nuke at this point in time. And while, you know, the map has become more and more T-sided with every consecutive update, I'd say it does land at that 9-6 line. If you were to just throw bots into this server, complete blank canvases, and have them play out statistically, the majority of the time I think it would be 9-6 in favor of that CT side, which means HELLRAISERS are running out of runway to perform on the easier side of things. And when you see that the vast majority of their round wins here on Nuke do stem from the CT side, they could be sweating a little bit now.
And especially with the amount of money they have left in the bank. I mean, that op save was actually really necessary because they are down on their last dime. Oh, this jiggle peek. They have absolutely no idea that JR could have been there. That is a little bit unfortunate. Dennis is playing close angle though, and JR is going to peek into him. Oh, actually hiding behind the boxes.
Oh, not able to creep round far enough. Does not expect JR's positioning, and that double entry from HELLRAISERS usually is enough to convert rounds on the CT sides. APEKS with 110 left to work with. There's still time for the T side, but they have so little map control. They're just trying to fight their way out onto A, and JR has not been able to be removed yet. Eventually, Gruss takes him down, but Jalen's here for some counter-aggression, and he's dropped the bomb on the A-bomb side, found himself a second kill, and left Marcelius in a position where he has to clutch things out.
Well, Marcelius, come on, show us some beauty.
Very unfortunate that he's completely stuck. Oh, does get himself JLM, swaps away to his molly, and will get caught on the retreat. And all of a sudden, well, they do have a little bit of money still left on Apex's side. But that recovery coming out from Jalen was pretty damn nice.
It really was, and Hellraisers avoiding any more momentum being afforded to Apex at the beginning of this T side. They continue to buy up, although they don't drain their bank completely at the moment. They are still taking the force through, but Hellraisers going to have to defend from the contact play.
Yeah, it is going to be a pretty tough defense, actually, it seems. Kalinka does not get the spray down. They have a smoke left. JR close range opping, wins the duel, gets another one, and that is the bomb not even planted. Complete shutdown coming in from Hellraisers, and they're looking to even out this game towards a 8-7. They really do not want to give away a map loss. Half lost.
Certainly not. They really want to try for that recovery, come back into the CT half and try and wrestle things back into their favor. At least that one-round advantage would be something to work with heading into the more difficult side of the map, and some kind of protection from a pistol round loss.
That is some heavy nade stack coming through. But will they expect Jaden to be this close on top of red boxes right now? He spots out one AK, shuts him down, will fall back, and that is the man advantage that they need. Gets a kill and disengages exactly what they need to happen. Ooh, they are so close. Walks past Dennis in the smoke, who then loses the fight against Jalem, and that is going to be a 2 versus 4 situation. Very tough. Again, Marcellus is the last man standing. I mean, I know that he's amazing, but oof. His team is making it a little bit too hard for him.
Apex, unlikely now that they come out of this half the victors. They were 6-0 up at the start of this T side, remember, but that seems to be a theme almost throughout this series so far. Strong starts and weak finishes from Apex, and the opposite perhaps true for Hellraisers as they look to win 8 of the last 9 rounds in this first half. All AKs and just 3 flashes for Apex to work with here. They're going to try and force outside control.
A pretty aggressive move outside, but they have 2 flashes left in their utility. They are incredibly lucky that they managed to cross outside. No one was holding the push at all, and well, heaven has been gifted to Marcellius. We do have Flamage on site, just guarding it, of course. But Marcellius is not even looking down because he doesn't expect anyone to hide on site. JR catches Akaz from the side, and this is looking really problematic. All of a sudden, Hellraisers, they were 6-0 ahead on Apex, and they lose the half 8-7.
Another collapse towards the latter stages of the T half for Apex. How significant is that going to be throughout the rest of this map? They now head on to the easier CT side of Nuke, but the momentum is with their opponents, who on the more difficult side of the map have the round advantage and have the motivation to continue performing here. The odds from our partners over at LootBet seem to indicate it's just about as balanced as it could possibly be, with Apex narrowing out the advantage.
I would say that I would rate Apex a little bit higher, as in better 1.5, something along those lines, because it is really heavily CT sided, and you have Marcellius on that op. However, it might have been because Truth bought himself the dualies again that they have been put at the, well, not the most favorable odds.
Russ spotting out this ramp progression right now and actually following through with the shots as well. This could be an early denial. Look at that kill feed. All the kills from Apex come through in about 3 seconds. They decimate Hellraisers on the pistol round. They can get nowhere near a bomb site. And that is the perfect start to this Apex CT side.
And he actually gets the headshot as well. Is pretty nice. Look at the buy round as well. Double AUG coming. A triple AUG even for Apex. They're playing that long range game. Oh, it feels like this is CSGO from a couple months ago.
Certainly trying to make it work with the AUGs. Finding kills with it as well, to be honest with you. Hellraisers in such dire straits in this round. Truth's trying to spam through the smoke to take down JR, but he is at least safely in the vent. Jalem trying to protect his bomb with this Deagle and just peeking his head out, finding very nice shots, making it very, very expensive for this Apex side. They throw perhaps 2 weapons away that they didn't need to there, trying to hunt down the 4 HP player of Jalem. But now on the flank, they could be able to cleanly take him out, as Truth is looking around at the back of this silo for the low HP player. He can hear the reloads and has now spotted him. Eventually drops that bomb and leaves JR in an impossible scenario.
Yeah, it still is a very painful round because they dropped 2 AUGs and they did not actually send their SMG players to retrieve him. So that is a lot of net worth and just thrown in the dumpster. Nice taps from Jalem and a very worthwhile round for the Hellraiser side. I mean, yeah, no, double AUG is pretty worthwhile. Look at the weaponry they have to replace their AUGs with a 1 M4 and an SMG. This should be a pretty clear-cut round. JR actually bought out the scout, though.
Perhaps trying to be that minor cleanup for the Hellraiser side. Use the Deagles to make those body tags and then try and swing that scout in to finish it off with the 1-shot conversion. Jalem's going to be playing this silo angle again because it worked out for him brilliantly in the last round, but he's having less effectiveness this time. Truth shuts him down immediately as JR's the next to fall, and the MP9s farming up all the cash they could hope for. A 10th round all but guaranteed now for Apex as problem gets cleaned up towards the death of things. Hellraisers are going to be desperate to start scoring soon and deny too much economic build-up towards Apex on the CT side.
Yeah, that scout buy makes it so that JR can't buy any piece of utility at all, so he's going to be very dependent on his teammates to try and make a play, which is kind of weird when a IGL does not have any utility. Usually he's the one that wants to set everything up for his teammates, you know, throw the pop flash in and everything because, well, he is the IGL. Got the aggression coming out. It's not going to pay off. Marcelius falls. Dennis wants to go in for a second.
Might be tempted away from it at the moment, though. Can't really risk overextending and giving Apex another 3 kills, so they go and push 2 players through Trophy Room instead. They walk forward together and send AKs out even further, but Problem is really expecting that play. Are they expecting the advancement up the ladder as well? That's the real question. It looks like they don't need to be, as Apex have decided not to commit any further aggressively in this round, as they're already at the 2-man disadvantage. This is going to be hard enough.
Yeah, a tough round, but then again, they are playing with their bonus round. Next round will be with an op from Marcelius, so he doesn't actually have to get aggressive inside lobby. Gruss on the ramp. They are going to push from the opposing angle towards the ramp, and Truth gets taken out, but they still have Gruss down below. Will they expect the CT player to hold the angle?
Back down a bit further, but the rest of his team have all been cleaned up. They don't have to commit down this ramp if they don't want to. They're just guessing at this point where the last remaining player is, and now they found him. He's taken down by Flarich at the late stages of the round, and Hellraisers are now 1 away from tying up the scoreline. Apex buying through to try and deny that tie, as they'd have to drop down onto an eco following a round loss here, but it looks like the momentum is going to be broken up regardless for technical reasons, and Hellraisers this time have much more utility to work with in the upcoming gun round.
Yeah, especially Marcelius on the op. I mean, the man is twice as strong with the op as without. What kind of defense are we going to see here from Apex? They just tried to go aggressive. It did not really pan out as they wanted, but that mainly had to do with the fact that they had weaker weaponry in general, thanks to the SMGs. Yeah, Apex, they need to win this round. Otherwise, you're going to give HELLRAISERS an opening to build up some more cash.
That's the real thing they're trying. Well, both sides are trying to avoid. You have to admit it. If Apex lose out on this, they have to go down onto an eco. Their opponents have tied. You're expecting then 11-10 with a healthy bank built up on the T side. It bodes well for HELLRAISERS, but they're still on the more difficult half of the map. Whereas if HELLRAISERS start losing out and Apex build up an economy on the CT side, that could really be them shut out of the series and losing the opportunity to qualify to the playoffs early on indeed. Marcelius does have his famed AWP in hand and therefore should effectively be a lethal force in the server in this upcoming round. He's the highest fragging player on his side, and really his impact is felt. He's going to have to go big with this AWP, you feel, as really it's on Truth and Gruss otherwise doing the majority of the lifting in terms of kills.
Let's see what kind of angle he's going to be playing. It is always a blast to see oppers on this map. Together with Train, probably the most my favorite op-intensive maps because of the angles. Akaz is trying to bait them out into thinking he dropped down, and Marcelius gets himself the first pick onto Jalem outside. Okay, he was all the way still in spawn, it seems. So, barely decided to leave his base. He's still holding that angle. I think he just missed a shot, though, onto... Was that's Kalinka, was down towards Secret. Should have intel though that he's down towards Secret. We're gonna see a nice execute coming out of smoke up in heaven. Towards the A site, bomb gets thrown down, but it is gonna look like it's a ramp push coming in. Dennis catches JR, but where is the ramp player coming through? There we have Gruss. He actually rotated away from ramp because of the execute coming out from HELLRAISERS, and they will head in towards that B site.
Kalinka's found another kill for HELLRAISERS in the round. That was the double opener for Apex, brought back into a 3-on-3. That is a nightmarish scenario for the CTs to have allowed to happen, and they've dropped Marcelius straight into Kalinka's crosshairs, and Kalinka hasn't stopped advancing. He's just forced these Apex defenders away, and despite starting the round perfectly with the 2 opening kills, they completely lose control of the map. They get wrecked by Kalinka, who finds heavy impact indeed, and now he's tied up the scoreline for HELLRAISERS.
And they won't be able to recover an op at all on their side either, so that is going to be problematic because you want Marcelius on that op. The flank coming in, but Kalinka is not going to push any further. Truth note that he was very close to him though. But yeah, this I would say that this still has to be an eco on the side of Apex. You could go for the Armored Deagle next to the rifles, but I just say play like this and let the rifles try to do their magic.
That does have to be the call. You believe Apex, their money is just not in the best scenario here, and really on the CT side, they are at risk of losing control completely. Arguably, if HELLRAISERS could just trample through and keep storming rounds, they definitely have momentum on their side during this map of Nuke. And Apex much more passive this time. They've done work in the past with these USPs, don't get me wrong, and definitely found damage, but we've yet to see it happen on Nuke. And Truth and Dennis with the 2 rifles on the board, they've got to get at least 3 kills between them.
Yeah, this is a tied score again. Ramp. Oh, the
Tings coming out. They get 2 frags, 3 in favor of Apex, running forward, trying to grab a gun as soon as possible. That might have been a little bit, you know, that's one of those moves that's almost always a little bit too aggressive coming out.
Yeah.
But JR does not expect Dennis to be on top of blue. And now it's all on HELLRAISERS against the 2 players that actually started the round with rifles and armor.
Both with a crossfire in the A site, but HELLRAISERS has deleted one of them. Truth punished very early on just for showing his head. And now the bomb plant can occur in the B site. Dennis, the Swedish veteran, in the one-on-one clutch against HELLRAISERS, who's trying to back away, but Dennis has spotted out his position. The noise, of course, going to give Dennis away as well as he dumps both of his flashes in and looks to slow peek the angle. HELLRAISERS, it's going to be a matter of timing as he still has flashes to work with himself, but Dennis has no idea whether HELLRAISERS has backed away. It looks like he didn't spot the early pillar positioning, and that's allowed HELLRAISERS to punish him. 1 round lead now secured by HELLRAISERS as APEKS are going to get a buyout in this round, but it's going to drain their bank, and if HELLRAISERS can claim victory, they can take control of their T side.
And that is an amazing round coming out from HELLRAISERS to secure his team the lead once again. It is a pretty tough game. I mean, both these teams are so neck on neck between each other, and HELLRAISERS, they just get the edge in that last fight. Dennis, with all of his experience, did not manage to clutch that one through. And out, it's coming down to an outside play. Jalen trying to rush towards Secret, taking a heavy rain of damage, but Dennis is going to get shut down. Kalinka drops in return, and we have a 4-on-4 situation. APEKS is even going to go down towards B. They're putting 2 players down towards B currently, which means A is pretty susceptible to being completely annihilated.
APEKS rotating around, trying to hold these off angles. They want to keep 2 players committed into the ramp room by the looks of things, but Marselius is eventually going to back away as the rear outside control is with HELLRAISERS, and APEKS have to position accordingly. Jalen has made his way up into heaven, and I don't think that's going to be anticipated because Marselius has control of the bottom of the ladder. I wonder if he's communicated to his team. He definitely hasn't, and Jalem's found 2 big ones up above the A bomb site, really thinning those defenses. As Marselius falls, it would be on Gruss's shoulders to 1v4 here. Just has to save the rifle. HELLRAISERS steaming ahead now on their T side.
Yeah, they're just getting completely annihilated. No possible idea that there might be a flanker coming through towards heaven. They had no outside control whatsoever because they dropped 2 down to B. One was staying at ramp and the other one was in the A site. So with playing a blind eye, you should have an inkling that they might flank because they love playing the flank on HELLRAISERS, especially Flamage and Jalem love going all over the place. And yeah, this is a 12-10. It's going to be another eco for APEKS, maybe a deagle here or there, but it is most certain. I mean, how are they going to be able to overcome this? APEKS, for instance, on that train defense was amazing, and all of a sudden he only has 5 frags in 22 rounds.
The IGL for APEKS, he was a great fragging force over on train. You're absolutely right, especially on that CT side. He was doing so much of the work individually that his presence is definitely being missed at the moment on Nuke. That much is for sure, but with APEKS having deagles in hand, I never want to doubt them in rounds like this. We see what they can do with the USPs, and deagles are just a better version of that pistol when all thing is said and done. It's just stronger damage-wise, and they can still deal the damage with it.
Yeah, especially on these close angles. I mean, they are hiding inside secret with 2 players. Gruss is going to get mollied off, but they do have APEKS still hiding inside secret. They might not expect the second player. He peeks out wide, but does not win that fight. Outside smoke's coming through. Marcellus is trying to spot through the smoke. And one smoke already dissipates, but there is Gruss still down secret. The only M4 that they have runs back in while they push the smoke and falls. That means they only have 2 deagles left, a little bit of armor on the 2 players to try and hold this off. Luckily, Marcelius has been saving up some money so that he can buy an op next round because they really need that op.
You have to say so. Marcelius, when he kills, the highest fragger, just about alongside Gruz on his side, just leading the way. And he really is a pivotal player for this Apex side. The AWP in his hand, how much impact is he going to be able to have? Because Apex, look at their cash left over. They lose this, they'd be 14-10 down with an eco to deny map point. Hellraisers now with a firm opportunity to take control of the T side unless Apex manage to recover this incredibly stormy ship that their journey on Nuke has been so far.
And that is definitely a nice opener to make. Don't forget that this is a CT-sided map, so it is very impressive that Hellraisers have done such a massive amount of work on the T side. And with problem all the way down events already, they have a good rotator taken out. Dennis gets rid of Kalinka, but will they be able to deal with Dennis, who is still outside in garage? There's going to be a push in towards the A site, but he doesn't expect APEKS to be playing that close angle on the right side, and that is going to be a problem for problem. Because now it is a 5-on-2 situation, and Hellraisers, they have, well, they've got pretty much nothing left. Marcelius does miss the shot because he didn't expect problem to come up secret, but now they know where the last man is standing.
Problem surely can't get anything done here. Maybe a couple of exit kills. His team have cash to work with, but instead Marcelius is the man to put him down, and it looks as though this game might just be going the distance. 13-11 as Apex start to narrow that gap once again now. As they hunt down the Tide scoreline, they have full guns available and surviving with 5 alive as well. Obviously great news for that CT bank. Obviously vitally important for Apex to have a bit of cash to work with at such a late stage in the game when things could swing either way. They're certainly going to be thanking their lucky stars, but Dennis is doing the opposite at the start of this round as he gets caught out with a nade in hand.
Yeah, that's the quick peek from JR, not using the nade as I suggested, but I love that door peek in general. Giving them a man advantage. Apex, that is going to put them into a pretty problematic situation. Luckily, they do have Marcelius still outside with the op, playing in the, well, pretty much full, all the way in the back of CT. Should be able to keep a guard of heaven, so his teammates know that that is cleared.
Scoped in with the AWP, but smoked off now. And his position neutered. He knows he has to reposition. It's all just a case of timing when he does it. And Truth is in a bit of danger. He might not be aware of it, but Jalem is ready to pounce at any opportunity. I'm just not quite sure he's positioned correctly in that smoke. Marcelius in the rear actually takes him down and brings it back into a 4 versus 4 scenario. Picks up an AK for close range defense, but Hellraisers are thinking about attacking the ramp. Cruz is ready to deal with this aggression and finds problem as the first, backing away to flash himself for some room as Truth takes down Kalinka. This round has all gone wrong for Hellraisers.
That's a complete shutdown from Apex. A man down, but Marcelius catches out the player outside, and that is the linchpin. That's the most crucial player right there, because he's the one that has to peek the site and check all the angles to give his teammates the info. Okay, it's going to be JR up top. 1 versus 2. Will get caught out by Marcelius. Wait, where did he even shoot him from? But Marcelius does manage to get the shot in. That was a very weird moment right there at the stairs. With how, like, it looked like Marcelius was about to get shot in from behind, but then his teammate got ravaged by JR.
Either way, it leads to another one round from the Apex side, and now they are a single victory away from tying up the scoreline at 13-13 and coming out in the lead of the CT side here on Nuke. The final map as the decider. The loser will still have to play some more Counter-Strike later today. They'll be dropping down into the decider matchup later on, but the winner will advance early into the playoffs and have a nice, comfortable night off for themselves. HELLRAISERS playing it passively this time, but burning out their utility quite significantly as their smokes being deployed at this point. They only have 2 smokes, 4 flashes, and a Molotov against the virtually full complement from APEKS.
Yeah, this is what is going to be their plan of attack. They just attempted to go for the A push. It's going to be the ramp, it seems. Gruss, he has to hold big. JR misses the op shot, and Gruss is actually going to fall back. Big nade damage coming in. Peeks out white, but they both get crushed on the ramp. That is going to be an opener. Jalen tries to win the duel against Dennis, but loses it in the end. Truth already jumped down towards B, and will be a 1-for-1 trade, making it 2 versus 3 situation for Apex. They know where the last 2 players are coming from. Jump through, jump wide, gets rid of JR, dodges Flare's bullets. Dennis gets a double, and Kalinka is the last man standing. Dennis is down to 20 HP, so he has to be the bait so that he can switch with his homeboy APEKS, and he's going to do exactly that. That gives away the info. Who's going to win that duel? It is going to be APEKS, and the bomb defuse should come through.
Enough time left for the Norwegian captain. Quiet so far on Nuke, but able to win that 1 versus 1. It's all tied up then at 13-13 now as APEKS only keep a single player alive, stretching out their economy, but HELLRAISERS in turn also are having some economic woes of their own. It's a timeout called through from the CIS side to discuss their strategies here, as their buy would not be perfect by any stretch of the imagination here in round 27.
You know what I might expect to happen next? I am expecting that wonderful OT to come back.
Certainly likely, certainly likely.
Okay, well, it will be a very, I mean, the overtime is the most fun of all, because of course you get to see the full buy versus full buy every single possible round. Marcelius again back on carrying his team, 24 frags to his name, and yeah, he's alone at the top currently.
HELLRAISERS making sure they use all of the time they have to work with here. Double timeout in a row at a very high pressure moment in the game indeed. They are going to decide to bring forward a force buy into round 27. APEKS up against a double eco. I think you have to be expecting that at this point in time. I don't see much real reason why they take 2 consecutive timeouts if they could just eco in the next round and use that one as an opportunity to talk about strategy. So APEKS potentially predicting this buy. If they can win the round, it would be wondrous for them, but they wouldn't have done enough to deter the HELLRAISERS full buy in the next. This certainly has potential to go the distance.
Let's see what the plan is here for HELLRAISERS. It's just going to be a straight up A rush, trying to catch them off guard. They're going to jump down vents. Maybe just go for the bomb plant. Kalinka gets a kill, tries to jump down, but Marcelius is there quick enough on the catch. Bomb is going to get planted though, and HELLRAISERS, they have a man advantage. Bomb is down, and they still have a decent amount of weapons. They are trying to catch anyone pushing through vents, but Flarage gets a double with the Deagle outside. Flarage just shuts them down, and that is the last man standing. Marcelius does not expect Flarage to have been pushing that far. Triple kill for him, and all of a sudden, HELLRAISERS take one back from APEKS, and look at the money for APEKS. It's completely in tatters.
And now it is they who call the timeout in round 28. They want the opportunity for discussion here. Neither team facing elimination with a loss on this map, but they are avoiding an opportunity to qualify directly to the playoffs, and they are then still in danger of dropping out of this group in the next best of 3 series they would play later on today. That money for the CT side as broken at the worst possible time on Nuke. At the moment, APEKS are yet to invest, and it looks as though they aren't going to be committing to this round. They are going to eco into it and give HELLRAISERS the free 15th and hope they can convert 2 consecutive rounds to take us into overtime.
Well, I mean, that's what we're thinking, but don't forget, USPs are deadly on the side of APEKS on this defense. And the HELLRAISERS do have the tendency to, every once in a while, completely lose touch of their positioning and the possibilities of a flank. They're going for the double stack towards ramp again with that USP. But this time it seems HELLRAISERS are playing a little bit more cautious than they were last round.
Definitely. Against the pistols, that's the thing. Even those USPs can just do so much damage. HELLRAISERS know it. They know they're never safe at any point against the APEKS side as the USPs deal early dinks. And look at it, Truth and Dennis are coming through for kills. It's brought into a 3 versus 3 scenario, but now the bomb site is under the control of HELLRAISERS. They look to put the plant down as well, and as Gruz is removed, Dennis has found an AWP, but Marcelius has found a Deagle headshot, and with this AUG, Dennis has brought it down into a one-on-one.
Doesn't have armor or any utility, but I am that shot from Marcelius was insane. Getting that Deagle shot while pushing through the smoke headshot. Beautiful play coming up from him.
Oh.
Kalinka does win the fight, and it is going to be a 2 map and series points coming in for HELLRAISERS.
That was such a crazy play from Marcelius. Brought it into the one-on-one just prior to Dennis's kill there, which actually secured the scenario. But that really could have gone the other way. That could have been the tied scoreline 100%. But now APEKS need 2 consecutive to force overtime, and HELLRAISERS have 2 clear-cut opportunities to close out our 3rd and final map of this series.
Yeah, they are up against Marcelius's op, who is going to jump down. It seems he's going to go for the secret peak. I don't think he's actually gone for the op secret peak just yet. And it is going to be a heavy outside execute from HELLRAISERS. So I assume they'll at least molly out secret, because Marcelius can get a quick pick and fall back. That's a 5-man push. They have no smoke coverage coming outside on HELLRAISERS. They will lose. Problem, they get Dennis though, and Marcelius falls back. The nade is gonna land on Kalinka, and Kalinka dies as well. Marcelius gets himself a nice double for his troubles, but it is gonna be HELLRAISERS 2 men, well, 2 versus 3. They have the B site under decent control. There is one player close enough that can deal with the bomb plant. But JR does smoke and molly the direction. Flare is just trying to get outside so they can get the bomb plant in, and the rotations will come through from behind.
2 flashes, but the man advantage for APEKS to work with. JR finds Akez, who's actually on the flank, but he's left Flarich alone in the B bomb site, and he's trying to go aggressive and look over the top of this smoke. That's not the call you want to make when you're the only one defending the site, but they don't expect it, and he's found the kill onto Grunt. 2-on-1 scenario. Truth is low, and he can't get it done. HELLRAISERS eventually on the T side of Nuke convert the work that they need to, and at the very